Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Have the Race Gone for our Green Hell Sunday special. We've got two entire events for you people tonight. First off, as we're watching now, is the Shakedown event of quite a bit of lag here from GT Alex, but organized by Dr. Hash. And as I said before, it's the Shakedown event, so no points or anything on offer, but a very, very strong grid indeed. Have a look at that with the Shamar. It's GT Alex of IGTL fame. Of course, same goes for Dr. Hash. It's Schosse Halbstärk. Both of these guys, we've seen them before. Very strong indeed. CJ. And then Quinton as well. So quite a strong field. Anyway, hello to everyone who's joining us here early on. It is gonna be a bang of a night here. A big bang. This will be two races, or two heats, I should say, of 3 laps here at the N24 circuit. And of course, evening to the big 50s. Evening to Piosko, and of course evening to everybody else who's joined us at this early stage as well. And as I mentioned before, we're featuring this event, which is 2 heats of 3 laps, and then afterwards we'll be covering the 1 hour of Nürburgring from the Nuke Endurance Series, the first of the by now sort of traditional midway. It's not even middle of the season, it's between seasons is what I was looking for. Between seasons. And with that said, we'll have plenty of time to cover the NES race when we get a little further into the broadcast. By now we are about to be ready with the qualifying session here from the TT Cup. It's gonna be a one-shot qualifying session. Oh, I think we're having it looks like the pit bug, I'm afraid. Oh, PD. Look at these people, they're drunk already, and on a Sunday. God damn it. And yeah, Piosko, I think Dr. Hash just did that, our host. And Big 50s, yeah, it will be very nice racing here. The day of time. The day of time, Piosko. That sounds more serious than I think. That's very, the day of time. That's almost like a doomsday sort of thing going on there. But anyway, qualifying is about to go live here, and I must have I got a little bit stressed out all of a sudden because all my preparations kind of overtook me on the inside into this event here. So I only just finished making coffee and getting in the snacks on the table, the water, the soda. As you hear me stretching in front of the microphone. Anyways, that should probably get to track, and I should probably begin watching these drivers. As mentioned before, it's a one-shot qualifying. Here's a Super Bowl kind of format. And yet, Halbstärk still struck by the pit bug here. Same goes for Pirulito. I think we should probably mention this. Oh, it's such... It's such an annoyance. We're just trying to get the qualifying session underway here, and we're just struck by these problems. Lobby issues from the very get-go, and it makes it a little bit hard to get underway. So question is what we'll be doing about it. Because Quentin, Kenny, Aura, Marcasman also looks fine, though with a little bit of lag, I think. Schosse seems to be running fine. Alex seemed to have a little lag before, but it seems to be fixed by now. CJ also seems with a fine connection. Rlee as well, or Arlie, or how to pronounce that one. It's different. It's difficult. Shomar also seems to be running with no warp speed to him. And then Nushel and Pirolito still hit by the pit bug. So the question is what we do from here. And we might be looking at a small delay. If we're not already actually looking at a small delay, we are. We are indeed. But I'm really looking forward to this race, I must say, and the NES race we're going to be showing later as well. And evening to all Alonatron, nice to see you. Welcome to our Green Hell Sunday special. We'll be with you for some hours to come, Tron. So well, we've got that roast cooking. I suppose it's in the oven. And that type of thing, of course, takes time. Anyway, back to the qualifying session. It is VLX Quentin. And he's on his flyer, closely followed by Kenny. It's Aura and Marcasman then in... And mind you, there are a couple of details. And one of them being that ABS is turned off for this race, so whenever you see tire smoke, it's probably because of the fact that the cars are running with no ABS. Tires and fuel are at ×1, so neutral wear. It's both of those, and then of course heavy damage. So VLX Quentin now 2 minutes 10. Kenny goes into the 208.6s. Let's see Aura here, he's already passed, and he's into the 207, so a provisional pole for him. Marcasman goes third, it seems. Next to cross is Schosse. Oh, it's a good time for Schosse into 207.1. Provisional pole for him. Dr. Hash finds himself a little way down the order. Brilliant job from Schosse indeed. CJ next one to cross the line. Stepping in and... reserving for TX3 Jonaleska, who couldn't be here today. Let's see, CJ, this could be a good time as well. And it is. It's a provisional, or it's a pole position time. Provisional pole for CJ, the Mad Greek. Alex there, GT Alex with a penalty. Let's see, Shomar. Will he be the one to remove the Mad Greek CJ from the pole position spot? He will not, I think. Nope. Goes third overall. Then it's Rlee. And he's some way back. And then it's Nushel. And who's the other one running here at the moment? We've got some weird bugs going on at the time being, with Halbstark still being shown to be in pit. Piosko, it was a nice coincidence though. Just blame the Tron, blame the Brit for everything. But Tron is such a nice guy. You can't blame him for all those things. It's not his fault. Oh, anyways, of course it's not. Making fun. CJ the Mad Greek on pole position by 10 thousandths of a second in front of Schosse. And they will both be going head to head as well in the NES race, I can tell you. So, maybe a bit of a rivalry already starting here. Evening to Ethan. Nice to see you. And of course, Ethan, it's all your fault. CJ as well in chat. Yeet! Good lap, CJ. Mind you that CJ will be starting last in the second heat because the second heat will be reversed grid based on qualifying results. So certainly it's going to be interesting. Still think it's weird with that bug with the Halbstack here where it looks like he's in the pits. And I can see his fuel, and I guess everybody can see his fuel consumption at the time being. What's it gonna be for Halbstack? It's one of the only... Yeah, bring all the dip. And if you need more before Thursday, Ethan, get more. It's the only way. I just want to make sure that we see everyone in the lobby, because I'm not quite sure we do. Oh, we do. We do see everyone in the lobby. And that, of course, means we're gonna be... What's it gonna be for Halbstack? He's coming up to the last corner now. Some other guys are doing that as well. I don't know who that is, but we're gonna be following Halbstack. Here's Smilehead, enters quite late. Halbstack is gonna be in the 208s. So nothing perfect for the German, who we of course know from the TSR GT 300 series, where he's been showing strong performances in the very twitchy Lamborghini Huracan Group 3 car. It is of course still HTRG, Ethan. And what would HTRG be without HTRGB? That's also a weird thing to say, that caught me out. What would Have the Race Gone be without Ethan? That's a good question, Ethan. What would chat be without you? Good question. It would be a lot less rich. Anyway, with all the laps over, it's closing up on race. It's closing up on race time. So we're having a bit of banter going on. Turn one. Oh. So hopefully we'll be rid of lobby issues with this track change. Can only hope so. It'd be a huge shame to see anyone being stuck on grid or the like. So CJ on pole position while everybody's waiting here to load the track. Yeah, rid of lobby issues. Yeah, that's a good one indeed. It is PD after all we're dealing with. And everybody, of course, directly out from the pit lane to get a little bit more of a feel. And then people called back. I think I jinxed the one with the lobby issues because we're having one guy who cannot see Kenny. It looks like he's loading. He's now in the pits. I see him there. But of course problematic if the drivers don't see each other on track. Just gonna be typing here. Now we're seeing 14. We are Smileheads now on the track. And getting calls for pit bug yet again. God damn it, Polyphony. We killed Kenny. Let's hope Kenny stays on track. Otherwise, we'll be forced to make bad jokes here today, as we're following Maracasmen. And for some reason was stuck in his rear view cam there. So yeah, we're doing warm up now. As you can obviously see, there's a bit of banging and butching on the walls. But won't be long before the actual race gets underway. So might we really actually have to rejoin again? Ah, God damn it, Polyphony. So yeah, we're just gonna go out into our options here. We're gonna go into network and delete. Hope this helps out. And we're gonna rejoin because there was somebody on that lobby we didn't see before at all, and that's a big problem. And then hopefully this time around we'll be free to go. This is quite frustrating on GT Sport because I don't remember it being that bad before, to be honest. I feel like it's kind of gotten worse with the last couple of updates, and that's certainly not the way it should be going. It's not the way the arrow should be turning. Should be going the other way. Things should be getting better. They should be getting more stable, not less stable. It's a little bit annoying, and that's to say the least. Especially for those guys who have stuff like FIA races and such ruined, because after all, we can just restart and reset. But this time, I hope we are gonna be good to go. You guys deserve to see. You have been very patient. And of course, a very good evening, a very warm welcome to everyone who's joined us here in the last 10 minutes or so for all of our issues. Still 14 cars on track. Who is it I don't see? "15, 16, 14. I think it's good enough now. It is. it is. We do see everyone on track, so that's good. It's working! Yay! So never mind that it's a little weird that it shows Madagaskar here behind all of those who are still in the pits hanging out. I think that's a little bit weird. Never mind that, and never mind all these. Let's get the racing underway with as soon as possible. Everybody is ready. Lobby issues are unbelievably fixed. Somewhat. So, get ready with tea, get ready with dip. I'm opening up my snacks because I'm hungry. I'm just gonna mute the mic for 2 seconds while I eat so you don't have to listen to it. And with that, I'm back 10%, no, not even, 1.7% more full than before I took this bite of snack. It's nuts, by the way. It's good nuts. It's nut mix. Anyway, Dr. Hash has just started the final, and that means we are quite close to getting underway. Evening to Avup. Nice to have you along, Wade. Nice to see you. And welcome to this Audi TT Cup Shakedown event. Featuring some good friends of yours, indeed, Avup. So we'll be watching with interest. This does not sound too surprising, to be honest, or too surprising. Well, it doesn't sound too surprising at all. But it seems like we have some kind of problem here. Halbstad got kicked out of the room. That's a bit of a shame indeed. Seemed there was a connection issue for Halbstad. And hopefully he can be back for the second heat. No warm-up lap, no formation lap this time around. Just standing start, hardcore racing, so they'll be quite close. It's 4 lights. And it's go, go, go indeed. And it's CJ leading, Shosse, Shomar, Auran, Dr. Hash with Kenny in 6th. It's GT Alex now losing a position to Madagaskar. And Shosse up the inside of CJ. They're taking the lead. A little bit of RG barging in between Shomar and Aura. Oh, and there's a shove to the back of Dr. Hash as we're watching the guy in 5th position in the 420 car. Seems like they've gotten okay away. So far, at least. It's Kenny here in 9th position. Battling it out with Quinton. Oh, Quinton on the outside there, getting squeezed, but still some clean stuff, it seems. Shosse having gotten brilliantly away, sliding into the hairpin on the GP track. A 3-lap sprint race is what's waiting for the drivers here as Shomar now on the side of CJ coming into the Schumacher S's. CJ holds on to 2nd place for the time being. Still some close stuff in between the drivers here. Still very much a bunch in behind, a little bit of a train forming behind the Mad Greek. It seems in 2nd position with Shosse running away at the moment. GT Alex now also tagging along to the back of the train. In 7th, it's Madagaskar. He's in front of Kenny. Now Kenny with the move up the inside of the Spaniard. There's a little bit of a nudge as they're coming into the chicane. Kenny up into 7th position. So the Dane... No nonsense there as Madagaskar goes to the inside of Smilehead, and he's now up into 8th. It's RLE, it's Pirolito Nürburgring, and then Quinton has lost big amounts of time. He's all the way at the back of the field now. He'll have some catching up to do. It's still Schosse in the lead. Meanwhile, leading the Mad Greek, that is CJ, seems to do a very good job with the motion steering controller and actually keeping that in line without any ABS. Mind you, the drivers are running no ABS today here, so no surprise if we see some big lockups coming into the corner. Schumacher now getting very close with Aura. Let's go on board with the German in 4th position. And he's getting close over the crest there and then through the sweeper. And now in that very fast section down towards the Schwedenkreuz. Doing my best to keep my German pronunciations into order. Anyways, here is Aura with the slipstream on Schumacher, but he's not going to be able to make it through. As CJ almost goes into the grass. Let's see, does he go wide? No, he keeps it in check. Actually, the Mad Greek, a nice bit of driving. It looked a little bit sketchy for him in that situation. Dr. Hash just biding his time in 5th position. Same goes for GT Alex in 6th. Then there's a little bit of a gap down to the next cars, but it's still very close here in the battle for 3rd position between Schumacher 74, the AS Monaco Pro, and then Aura IO. Proper close up there. Oh, Schumacher almost going wide, and now Dr. Hash with a chance to catch up. And it's all just bunching up once more. And all this training up behind Schumacher at the moment, a little bit unexpected, I'd say, but it of course in turn allows for both Schosse and CJ to just escape. And hi and evening to Trals. Nice to see my co-host with all the most in chat. A little bit of oh, Schumacher goes wide and loses a couple of positions. Oh, and there's a little bit of argy-bargy once more, but Schumacher seems to be able to hold it together as GT Alex also takes 6th position from Dr. Hash. Let's just go back and have a look at what happened there before, because it was some very big moment for Schumacher indeed. Oh, I think it was a bit of ABS lockup and then a little bit of a touch. The question will be if the Frenchman will have damage to his car after that situation. And of course, it's something that we can have a look at. And he does have damage. He does have damage. That's rear aero damage for Schumacher. It's certainly not gonna help him. Neither the car balance or top speed, of course. So, German leading with the Schosse 97 in front of CJ. CJ now seeming to be closing the gap, however. He's now within a second. And it won't be long before he's up and sniffing into that slipstream of Schosse in the lead. So we might have a battle actually developing. CJ really seeming to be on the pace here at the Nürburgring. Impressive stuff from the Mad Greek. Really a known face here in the channel. And once more there's a big battle going on. This time it's Schumacher and GT Alex. Two real life very good friends. There's a little bit of a contact between them. And Dr. Hash is right behind us. They're side by side. Alex goes off to the left hand out of that kink. Oh, he might have damage to the car as well. Will Dr. Hash be able to take advantage of all this at any point? And now all of a sudden it's Kenny. It's Kenny appearing in the dust, in the tire smoke behind the squealing tires of the two combatants. Still very close to each other. Dr. Hash, is he gonna get the better? Kenny make the double move on the inside through the carousel. That's brilliant stuff. Let's have another look at that. Brilliant stuff from the Dane. He comes from 7th position. Going on board, there's a little bit of contact between Alex and Dr. Hash. Sends them both wide. Kenny says, thank you very much. I'll have some of that. He goes up into 5th position. That's brilliant stuff indeed. And of course, Audi spending big bucks to get such a star-filled lineup for today's race. And what racing they're presenting us with. Let's go back to the lead battle. It's still Schusse. It's still that just under 1 second advantage as he goes a little wide. CJ goes way wider though, but he seems to keep the speed in the car, and it hovers around that 9/10 mark. There's a 3.5 second gap down now to Aura, so the 2 leaders there's really shot away. And another 3 seconds down to Chomar. Somehow with the damaged car, he's holding on to 4th position. Brilliant job from the Frenchman with his AS Monaco teammate now in behind. And the question is it going to be an advantage, or are they going to be wanting to battle out even harder with that good real-life friendship between the two? Same goes for GT Alex, as we saw some hard-fought battling before. It's Nushel in 9th. He's very close in behind. He's made his way up. Same goes for Smilehead. And it's of course not Nuchen. It is of course just Smilehead. Or as I say, he's in 8th. And he's joined the back of this train. So it's positions 4 through 8 here having a battle, a close scrap for it. They're all within 1.5 seconds or so. If that will even do it, I think it's about 1 second between all these cars. It's very close indeed. I think GT Alex suffers on the exit there. Might have gotten a little bit of damage in that incident before. And I think he did because he seems to be suffering on the pace. Now it's Smilehead really ducking and diving, trying to find a way as he goes over one of those big, tall Nürburgring curbs that in reality you really don't want to touch. Here in GT Sport, they're a little bit more lenient. Let's see here down on the Flugplatz. A little bit of bump drafting, perhaps we'll see. Chomar, they're certainly not happy. He's typing in chat during the race. He's that unhappy with the tap he received early from Aura. They have a second shot at having a clean car, a fresh car for the second race. Now it's Kenny really having to defend it. Still GT Alex 6th. Dr. Hash now in 7th position now, defending from Smilehead. So GT Alex really making it work here on the long straight. And Schusse is still just shooting away. He's now got a 1.5 second lead down to CJ. So he's slightly extended that. And it's looking strong for the young German in the lead. I say the young German, I think I just expect him to be born in 97, and with that he'd be sorta young. Sorta young, 7 years. 21, that's not even... He's young. Anyways, let's not go into too many details with that. It can only be speculation. Chomar holding on to 4th position, and he's broken a little bit of a gap now down to Kenny in 5th. Kenny, who still has GT company, as the drivers are making their way onto the second lap of the first heat. Remind you, we've got 2 heats on display, and the second one will feature a reverse grid order. So we'll have the front runners from this race starting at the back of the grid, and that will surely make for some even more insane racing than what we've already seen here. Now Dr. Hash getting overtaken by Smilehead on the inside on the way into the hairpin. Looked like a good move. Let's see if we can catch it on the replay. We certainly can. And it's very much textbook stuff there. Dr. Hash being forced just to give way. And Smilehead takes 7th position. Ethan, you turned 25, you don't like it? Well, I'm closer to 30 by now, I'm 28. And I guess it's not that bad. 30 is no real biggie. It's getting bad when we're turning 40. Let's speak about that in 12 years' time and enjoy ourselves in the meanwhile, as it's Chomar he's gotten his way through Aura. Did we miss something there? We might have, because now it's Alex and Kenny going for it as they come onto the Nordschleife for the second time. And it's GT Alex taking 5th position from the Dane. Strong stuff from the Frenchman indeed. And there's been a big amount of work going into the deliveries indeed. Spoke to Dr. Hash about it, and it is very cool to see the different color iterations. And at some point we've had we've sent out invitations, and we've gotten approval of these invitations from some real racing drivers. So when the series really kicks off, it's going to be a monthly event, is the plan at least. And when it kicks off, those driving in the white, gray and black car, well, that'll be reserved for real life racing drivers So that'll be a fun little detail to take into consideration. Anyway, Kenny now into down into sixth, and it's Smilehead making his way up. He's had a strong race so far, coming from the back of affairs and just slowly making his way through. It's been strong stuff from him. I don't think it's David Perel, though. I think it's Alex Buncombe, to be fair, who sadly couldn't make it today. Or there might be a little bit of contact between Smilehead, Kenny, and Alex coming in through that slow right-hander. They are very close indeed. And they're also catching up to Aura in front. He's not that far in front. And same goes for Shoma. Shoma now with a 9-second gap up to CJ. And CJ's keeping a leash on Schosse. It's going back, it's going forth, but he doesn't seem to be able to close the gap. And crucially, he hasn't yet been able to get into the slipstream of the German in front. Oh, Ethan. So we'll be keeping an eye on that lead battle. Now it's actually Aura catching up to Shoma once more. And not the happiest of moods between the two earlier on. Even though I should say it's only racing. At least it's only console sim racing. Shouldn't take it too seriously and get that upset. Anyways, we'll see some close racing between the two. Keep it gentlemanly, please. Aura goes wide and takes the wide line through there. I think it's the faster line indeed. A difficult section to make their way through as Shoma almost goes wide on the exit. Still with the Aura within 3/10. Once more we're going on board with the German, as he's now really, really close. And he might be able to make the move. Almost certainly not. No way to get past and nowhere to put his car. And he's gonna be trying just to apply the pressure ever so slightly. Or should I say, quite heavily indeed, because he's very close to Shoma. And that car is almost licking the bumper of the Frenchman's car in front. And in behind is now getting very close as Kenny once more has gone his way through GT Alex. And is up into 5th, but having a feeling this might change again. And Dr. Hash also hasn't got his way past Smilehead as well. Brilliant stuff indeed. Brilliant stuff indeed is going back and forth at the moment. A lot of action going on. A lot of action indeed now. Still just about half a second. So, Aura goes a little wide there. And Kenny and GT Alex now also getting close to the battle for 3rd. So we might see a train forming up once more, actually. Look, here's Schosse still with that 1.2 second advantage. It really is just hovering right around there. And these two drivers seemingly very close matched and very well matched as well. And perhaps CJ goes a little wide there once more. It's the second lap in a row. It's the same place on the entrance to YouTube corner. I mean, he makes his way through this time without any further drama. Once more getting a little wide there. Shoma now trying to put Aura out of the slipstream. Kenny's done the same thing, I think, to GT Alex. He has a second advantage now. And with that, Dr. Hash is now getting close to the Frenchman in front of him, racing on his Swiss account. But he is French. But isn't it just called YouTube Corner, Ethan? That's what I... Yeah, I always drifted a bit there. That's the way we do it too, Trials and I, when we do our Nürburgring cruises. Anyway, let's go up and see the battle for third, because that's heating up as well. It's yeeting up, we might say, with Aura once more closing in on Shoma. It's Kenny in fifth. He's biding his time. He's closing in on the two. But you really see everybody's going full gas here. And it'll be interesting to see. It's 1.4 seconds between Shosse and CJ. So I don't think that, or I know for a fact that CJ won't be able to catch the slipstream of the German in front. At least not here. And at least not on this lap. Though Aura is very much in the slipstream of Shoma. He's now within 2/10, and he's making the dive. I don't think there's much the Frenchman can do about that this time around. And then, of course, tucking in and see if he can get the launch right back at him. Right back at him. But it's Aura now holding on to third position. That's great stuff from him. Shoma in fourth. It's Kenny down in fifth position, or down in fifth position. He's been keeping it there all the way through. Smilehead in sixth. So he's made his way through both GT Alex and Dr. Hash, who's now sitting seventh and eighth. And let's go down and check with it's Nushel in ninth position. It's VLX Quinton, who's made his way up to 10th. Manakasman is in 11th, it's Pirolito in 12th, and RLE in 13th position. And it's Shosse leading, but it's CJ with the fastest lap with an 8 minutes and 55 seconds. And CJ now within that second, he's 7/10 down on Shosse. And they're on the final lap, they're on the GP track now for the final time. Let's go on board with the Mad Greek for a second. As he's closing that gap now. He's into the killer mode. And he's into the slipstream. Half a second down. As he throws away almost 2/10 there. Locking up the wheels and braking. No ABS, remind you, ladies and gentlemen. Makes it difficult for the drivers. And Shoma also really under pressure from Aura on the battle for third position. It's Kenny very close with Smilehead here. And then GT Alex and Dr. Hash, still loads of action going down as we are on the final lap. CJ, he's still hovering that half a second down. Let's see if there will be a move from Aura onto Shoma as they come down towards the chicane. This is a good opportunity. I think it's Smilehead actually trying to get the better of Kenny on their way into it, but didn't really work out for him as well. And just take a moment to appreciate the skill of these drivers. It's really top level stuff. Shosse is expanding the gap once more. He's trying to put it over 2 seconds down through the Hudson-Bach, and he does that very well indeed. Brilliant stuff from Shosse, now up to those 1.2 seconds yet again. With that in third position, of course, it's still Shoma holding on under pressure from Aura. IO in fourth. In fifth position, just within a second of these two, it's Kenny. But Kenny very much with a German of his own in the mirrors, because Smilehead is very close to him. You'll be hard fought to find anyone closer than that without making contact. That's for sure. This time I think it's Smilehead trying to get up the inside of Kenny. On the outside, that is through the Schwedenkreuz, and that's not gonna work out. That's never gonna work out for anyone, and it doesn't work out for Smilehead this time around as well, and I think he realizes that. I'd like to see the guy who would be able to pull off that move. Big balls one indeed. Dr. Hash putting on the pressure. He's very close as well, and I think he takes that prize. He might actually be bump drafting the Frenchman here. Although I'm not quite sure. Oh, he takes a big bite of the curb and he almost goes flying. Really gets unstable and also throws away just 0.3 of a second. Then it gains on a good exit and having the slipstream. Brilliant stuff, but such a difficult place to overtake. Oh, as GT Alex overcooks it, and the lack of ABS sends him sliding into the barrier. Oh, and the heavy damage will really take its toll on his Audi TT, and he will be dropping back now. 15 seconds down to neutral Quentin and the others, but he might be losing that amount of time here. F's for GT Alex, who just about lost it, and that's one of the most common places to lose it on the Nordschleife circuit there, as you make your way through that very fast left-hander, just with a single grass in the tire. That's a grass too much, a tire too much, a tire too wide is what he went. CJ has lost some time. He's lost a second more to Chassis. He's now 2.2 seconds down, and he might just have settled on second position, or he might have made a mistake that'll force him to settle for second, because Chassis is surely running away with it at the moment. I think he can, Ethan, if you ask him really nicely. He might be able to get you some good Swiss Army knives as well. What do you know? Shoma, he's still holding on, and he's... Oh, what happened to Aura? Because Aura's down into 6th position. He's lost positions to both Kenny and Smilehead. And Shoma is now going to be defending from Kenny. There's just around a second between the two. But mind you, Shoma having a little bit of damage to the car. He's going to be suffering from that on those long straights that might open the door for the Dane and teammate. Now in 4th position. And hello there, Hunty. It's going very well for me. I've been enjoying my weekend. I've been chilling to the max. Relaxing all cool. Oh, it's Kenny with a big mistake on the braking as he locks it, and he goes straight into the wall, and that's gonna be his end, the end of his challenge for top placement here in the first race. Oh, as we've seen on several occasions now, the lack of ABS getting the better of these very, very good drivers. Nonetheless, that sounds interesting, Hunty, as well. I'll try to... I have to try to copy that next time I'm here in a Copen as well. And rest in peace to Kenny. And Ethan, Jesus Christ. Smilehead having lost a little bit of time to Shoma through that incident. CJ still 2.2 seconds down on Chassis. So it looks like Chassis is going to be taking a victory here in the first heat of the Shakedown event in this Audi TT Cup, organized by Dr. Hash from the Automotive Mayhem. Aura's back up into 5th, GT Alex in 7th, and then behind it's Nushel, it's Quinton, it's Maracasman. Quinton must have had some bad luck early on, because he's found himself quite a way down the order, and he was up there early on. RLE in 13th place. He's certainly not had the best of times either so far. But Shush has now extended his gap. He's up to 2.5 seconds down to CJ. So it's really looking strong for the German as he's coming towards the end of the Nordschleife track. Basically only needs to take care of the long Flugplatz straight and then the following chicane, and then he will be home and safe. And it's still one tricky braking zone, but he can afford to take it easy coming into that. CJ there second. Let's see, Shoma, is he going to be having company from Smilehead's now be getting the better of Aura, I think. Oh, did he do that before? But of course, a warm welcome to everyone who's joined us here at the towards the end of the first heat. We'll be having a second heat in store for you afterwards, 3 more laps, but with a reverse grid based on the qualifying results we've had from before this one, and then with an entire event to come afterwards with the Nuke Shot Endurance Series 1 hour of Nürburgring special event, featuring both qualifying session and the race afterwards. And it's of course in the group 3 cars. Seeing Aura, Dr. Hash, Smilehead, none of them really close enough to make something out of it. And as we say that, Shaza takes the checkered flag, and he takes it in front of CJ the Mad Greek with a brilliant fastest lap of 8 minutes 54.2. Brilliant stuff from Shaza to take the win here, and against such a strong field indeed. Shomar will come home for third, will come home for a podium spot indeed. So it's not all bad, considering that he did get damage on the first lap. Smilehead comes home for 4th with Aura in 5th. Dr. Hash comes home for 6th. It's gonna be GT Alex in 7th position. Then it seems Nushel is coming home for 8th. It's VLX Quinton coming home for 9th position. Oh, and then Kenny with his bad luck. He's gonna finish the race in the pits, since it's not gonna change anything for him. But he ends the race in 10th, with Mara Kasman there 11th, Pirolito 12th. And then Arlie, well, he's a long way back. I think he's had some very poor luck here. He's gonna be rolling home, but Shaza taking the win here. Yeah, true, Ethan. That's pretty much that's what you do to me. I should sing a song about that. That's just the way you make me feel. But getting back to the semi-serious stuff, it's strong stuff from Shaza to take the win here in the opening round in front of CJ. And CJ also, I have to give him credit, because he went in 20 minutes before qualifying start, as we had an open seat. So to take 2nd position there is a really strong stuff. Shomar with also a strong performance to take 3rd with a damaged car in front of Smilehead, who really came from behind to take 4th and kept himself out of trouble. Strong stuff. Or herself, as we don't know the genders and we can't assume anything. Aura 5th, right in front of Dr. Hash. Those two just having a chat about what a great race it was here. With Alex in 7th, Nushel Quinton, then Kenny, Pirolito, Marakasman. I'm sorry, Kenny, Marakasman, and then Pirolito. As we're still, we're not even gonna see Ali make it to the finish, because we're gonna having I'm barely coping with all this. So grabs to that victory strong one from Shaza, taking CJ through turn 1, the Mad Greek who took pole position, and then just hammering through. Great stuff indeed. So are we gonna see any warming up? We are gonna see some warming up from GT Alex here in this short break period. So we'll be back with the next race in, well, just about a couple of minutes time, I guess. So now's the time if anybody needs to take a wee, or if anybody needs to go grab that nourishment, that refreshing drinks, or that hot sip of tea or coffee, that nice brew, whatever you choose to do, that's all up to you. And yeah, Hunty, it's pretty well done keeping that front wheel drive in check, and especially considering the lack of ABS, because well, we saw it for a couple of the drivers. Alex had a problem, and as soon as we went sliding, there was just no stopping the car. It was just all 4 wheels locked up as he slid across the grass. and then Kenny just locked up on his way into the hairpin before the carousel, and that was also poor luck. I have myself a can of something good, though I'm not gonna endorse big soda companies on our stream. Yes, here you have it now. You may drink the Pepsis and pump the muscles. Enough of that. Brilliant stuff from Alex. You're drifting the TD around. The Titty is, of course, what we should call this series, the TT Cup. And we have Shomar complaining that you get damage and the race is over. Well, that's kind of how racing works, I guess. A little bit of a nudge there from trying to compose myself, watching Alex and Kenny with a nice round of destruction derby. This is certainly good stuff. And I just didn't see that. Oh, I didn't see that happening though. The car of Kenny. They did actually kill Kenny. Alex, you bastard, you've killed Kenny. No, Kenny killed someone this time around, and Alex is dead. Anyways, it is of course just a short break period. We have someone on track. I'm quite afraid that he might get kicked. And indeed, it is really, even for such a sprint race that's only 3 laps, you'd still really have to take it easy and be careful. It is a very, very tricky place to run, especially without the ABS and anything. But that's part of what makes it fun, especially part of what makes it fun to watch for us. And I mean, let's be honest, we all love a good piece of drama. Of course, within to a certain degree, within the limits. Now we'll be having the grid set, and once the grid is set, we'll be having the drivers go off into the sunset for 3 more laps of the Nürburgring 24-hour layout. And thanks, Hundy. Yeah, that was. It took some attempts. I think it took some attempts, but thanks. It was all good fun, and felt really great actually getting a world record in something I wasn't at all expecting to be anywhere near able to do that. But of course, taking good advantage of the fact that not too many people have gotten a hold of Dirt Rally 2.0 yet. But I'll certainly be trying to see if I can grab some more during the week here. I mean, why not? And I do enjoy the rallying. It is lots of fun indeed. Evening to the Ranchero Bandito, the Rodeo Bandito Dorito. So we're having everybody join the track now. As I said before, I think we need to kick this guy. It's not because we don't want people racing, but this is sign-ups only. You might be a friend of Dr. Hash. So, if it's just me, then I'm sorry. Shomars, we're gonna make it difficult for everyone to get around here. Hopefully the marshals are gonna clean up these tires. Of course, nothing's worse than the barrels around the Tokyo circuit. I think everyone who's seen that NES race. Oh yeah, a lot of destruction reigned those 2 weekends when the NES visited Tokyo. We saw a car just smash himself against the pit wall. Oh! Take off! As somehow Shomar's Audi just got transformed into a Harrier jump jet for a second. Very impressive stuff to keep its balance like that while jumping, I must say. So it's a good question. We will just be waiting for just wow. I still just feel like whatever Trouse just wrote there went right above my head. I've looked at it 4 times and I still haven't been able to make any real sense out of it. There's probably a joke, and I'm not gonna ruin it for anyone who understood it. CJ, Dr. Hash, and Smilehead in the pits. Well, it's Juanan. Is he gonna be allowed to race? It's gonna be fun if he just sneaks in. Oh no, here he goes. Oh, the Spanish Inquisition, yeah, of course. I am an aunt. I am an aunt. You may officially say it. I am an aunt. Trouse. Oh, that's some good stuff. Sounds good, Hundy. Sounds good, mate. So we'll be turning our serious face on now, because we are getting really close to the start of the second round, and we'll be having an entirely different grid order. 1 minute to start, and a reverse grid order indeed. That's a good one, Ethan. That's a damn good one indeed. Remember, if you like our content here at Have the Race Gone, throw the video a like and subscribe if you want to stay in touch, and if you want more of that sweet HTRG stuff. Everybody's about ready by now, I think. I'm really interested to see this. We did this reverse grid order when we ran in the TSR M3 Championship, which was actually one of the first series we did with the TSR boys, save for the first season of the multi-GT Championship. And it's surely made for some interesting opening laps of these races. I can say that I won that series actually, but I also had the cheating advantage of an 8-shifter and clutch. And hey, Jared Justice, thank you. Thanks, man. Nice to hear that. I'm glad you think so. And I hope you are enjoying the racing here. So now it is indeed the reverse grid order. Watch out for GT, Alex, and Kenny in 4th and 5th position. And watch out for VLX Quentin as well, who had some poor luck at the start of the last race. Let's just see if we can make it and to get everything on point here. There might be some... Oh, and I think they're off. There's a little bit of trouble with the graphics here, but we saw the lights turn into green, and it's Quentin now leading them down. There's a little bit of contact there from RLE, GT, Alex, and Kenny's gonna be far up the inside. Kenny's gonna be outbraking himself slightly. There's Mata Kasman. Dr. Ash comes out of it all in 6th position. Pretty strong there, and he gets a brilliant exit as well. And it's all very tightly bunched up on the exit. Dr. Ash in 4th position behind Mata Kasman. Alex up into 2nd. And what happened to RLE? Because he's down into 6th position after starting in pole here for Heat 2. Kenny in 5th. As I mentioned before, it's Hash in 4th. Then in 7th, it's Aura. Shomar up in 8th position. Then it's CJ in 9th position now. Oh, side by side through the hairpin with Shasse. Smilehead is 11th, and it's Pirulito in 12th position. Still Shasse and CJ side by side up through the... Oh, I think it's Shasse actually taking 9th from CJ. Let's go. Looking brilliantly strong there in front of GT, Alex, Mata Kasman, Dr. Ash, and Kenny now battling it out. And Kenny is getting the better of the German, I think, because he's up into 4th position. Let's have a look at the start once more, because that was some brilliant stuff indeed. Quentin, let's go on board, and with the rear view camera, I think it's give us a good view of what happened. Oh, a little contact and banging and bugging, and more paint trading in behind. Let's hope there's not too much damage. Looks like cars was almost 4 wide there. Now Kenny up into 2nd position, and they're all catching up because I think Quentin cocked it up. Let's see if we can catch the action here. We certainly can. Oh, and this is now becoming the replay syndrome, where the replays get replaced by action. Oh, it's Quentin now breaking himself into the chicane. Comes out alongside Alex, and then Mata Kasman comes across on the inside. Oh, and who's that? That's Alex putting it into the wall. So F's out for GT, Alex. He's back into 10th position. Mata Kasman already all of a sudden leading this race in front of Kenny. It's Quentin 3rd. It's Dr. Hash in 4th position. Then it's Shasse, Shomar, CJ, and RLE. Oh my, what a piece of intense action we're having here. The very rare, and oh yeah, Alex, as you saw, he just went straight on. Carbon copy of what happened to Kenny in the first race. Just locking up the brakes and going straight on. Now it's Kenny making his way on the outside of Mata Kasman, but he's got the speed advantage coming into the Schwedenkreuz. Will he have the balls to pull this off? They're side by side. This is brilliant stuff. And Kenny makes it, and he's now sticking it up the inside there. And Kenny, oh, is going to outbrake it? No, and he's taking the lead. Brilliant stuff from the Dane to take the lead from Mata Kasman there. Kenny, the AS Monaco driver. Really brilliant stuff there, and so damn close between the first 6 cars here. Oh, Kenny getting a little bit wide. Mata Kasman really putting on the pressure. Oh, I think Quentin lost it a little bit, and Dr. Hash took advantage of that. He's now up into 3rd, and Shasse's got the shove by Quentin there. He goes a little bit wide, and Shoman turned there to take advantage. He grabs 5th position, Shasse down into 6th. Then in 7th, it's CJ a little bit away behind this battle indeed, and he is going to be looking to catch up. But by the looks of things, it's going to be no impossible thing. This is going to be... This is going to be to the line. Kenny now leading Mata Kasman, Dr. Hash, VLX, Quentin, Shomar, Shasse, CJ, and RLEE in... or Lee... I'm still at a loss as to how to pronounce that PSN ID. Good stuff from Kenny at the moment. Now it's Dr. Hash in 3rd position. The organizer of this race getting very close to Mata Kasman, and Mata Kasman almost outbreaks himself. Just managing to keep the car in front. Through that left-hand hairpin. Very difficult corner, and a very easy place to make a mistake. Dr. Hash still just applying the pressure. He really wants to get through quickly. He sees Madakasman is a little bit shaky, and he gets the exit upon him. I think is the move coming from Dr. Hash. And he is passed. He's up into second. Really. We're just gonna call him indeed. So it's Madakasman in third now. Quinten still fourth with Shamar and Shosse right on the tail. Shosse really applying some pressure to the backside of Shamar's car at the moment. Let's go on board with Shosse here. The winner of Heat 1. He's already moved up halfway through the field. As we have had a couple of DNFs here for the second race, I think. As Shosse just lifts off slight bit and concedes half a second. Actually loses quite a bit of time to Shomar in that situation. Let's just see if he was unlucky with some kind of damage there. Oh, he wasn't. He certainly wasn't, and it would have been strange because there wasn't any kind of contact or anything. We could have been net-coated or something. But it was just a cautious approach taken by Shosse in that situation. It's still Kenny now leading Dr. Hash, and Dr. Hash is on an absolute flyer. Let's go on board with the German, who's now challenging for the lead. He's about 3/10 down on the Dane in front, and it's a little hard as a fellow Dane not to cheer a little bit for Kenny leading at the moment. Oh, but Dr. Hash is really putting on the pressure. He's going strong. But of course, the Nordschleife, as always, a very, very hard place to overtake. And as we've seen on numerous occasions throughout these couple of races here, it also often ends up in some of those poor luck situations. It's Madakasman, Quinten, Chomar, and Shosse also very close in that battle. It's third through sixth position here, of course. Still going at it. Still really going at it against each other here. And for some reason, Madakasman's livery didn't load for this race. That's a bit of a shame, but knowing that he has one. It's still very close also at the front between Dr. Hash and Kenny. When Kenny allows put it at a little bit of an advantage, I think. He'll be hoping that he can put Dr. Hash out of the immediate slipstream, at least as they get on their way down to the Flugplatz. In 6/10, it's gonna be quite close indeed. Oh, as Dr. Hash got a brilliant run through the mini carousel, and he just demolished the gap up to Kenny through one corner. And now Kenny's gonna be a sitting duck. I think it's gonna be a question of how much Dr. Hash is wanna be bump drifting him. And I think the clever thing here would be to bump drift as much as possible for Dr. Hash. CJ is a little bit unhappy this time around with the amount of contact being made, I think, through the first corner, I could imagine that was. And there was quite a bit of paint trading indeed. Now there's some battling going on here. It's, I think, Quinten is trying to get Madakasman with a wheel in the grass, and Quinten just forcing his way, I think, up into third position. Jesus. So Quinten third, Madakasman fourth, Shosse fifth, Chomar in seventh, CJ in seventh it is, Chomar sixth, Shosse fifth, Madakasman fourth, of course. We have had Alex left. Alex has left the buildings. The buildings. The Alexes has left the buildings. It's Aura, he's in 8th position at the moment. It's he's in 9th, he's pitting in for that damage. And he's the last of the survivors at the moment. And Kenny and Dr. Hash are still going at it, they're side by side. through the first S-bits here, and Dr. Hash almost goes wide. I think Kenny will be having the run upon him. Brilliant stuff from these two, and it is certainly still Kenny leading into the first hairpin, really throwing in the car, with Dr. Hash going for a more smooth approach, and I think it pays on the exit speed for the German in second position at the time being. Let's see how it goes. Quinten, he's got a strong gap down to Mata Kasman. Same goes for, I think Choma. Might they have had a little bit of contact here? Is he dealing with some damage once more? Oh, he most certainly is. Let's check the state of the other car. Mata Kasman has damage. Quinten is fine. Choma, Aura, Schosse has engine damage, so F's out for everyone basically here. It's really turned into a survival race, I guess, more than ever before, and it's Kenny leading at the moment with Dr. Hash very close, and then VLX Quinten still also in contention in third position. I think it's gonna be within or between these three drivers, and whoever can keep their composure. Schosse really looking strong. As just to remember who it is he's going up head to head with here. He is showing some serious speed. Or it's of course Dr. Hash, because Schosse is back in 8th position with engine damage. But the same goes for Dr. Hash. The same applies to our German friend in 2nd position. He's really doing a strong job of hanging on to the tail of Kenny. And he's just riding that curb a little too much and getting unstable through there. As we're of course riding on board with Kenny. As they come over the crest through the right-hander, the double right-hander. It is almost flat out in these cars. And it's been brilliant stuff so far. And it's Dr. Hash now trying to get a squeeze in, because he's really in the slipstream. And I'd imagine he's really having to lift a lot in the wheel of Kenny here as he gets a little slide on. Still Kenny hanging on brilliantly. Quinten trying to close that gap, but it's still 2 seconds up. Of course, the more they squabble in front, the more it's gonna aid Quinten in third, and the Belgian might just be able to make a return to the fight for a top spot indeed. I must say, brilliant job from these two so far. Kenny and Dr. Hash really looking strong. Let's check in behind. It's Mata Kasman now very close with Choma in the suffering cars that has damage. Choma gets the wheel on the grass. Is he going to be able, as they're side by side? I think he gets shut out. And Mata Kasman holds on to 4th position. Choma seems to be unfazed by the fact that his car has some damage. CJ is... Choma has a big lug up there. CJ is now closing in as a product of all that battling going on in front of him. Then it's Aura, and then there's half a minute down to Schosse. As we saw, he had engine damage, so a big problem for him. Kenny now has built a little bit upon that advantage. He's 6/10 up, so that's about half a second more than the last time we checked, and that gives him a little bit of a cushion at the moment, a little bit of breathing space, and it's not even the final lap. Still 1.5 lap of the Nürburgring 24-hour track left to go. The green hell comes alive with the sound of titty engines roaring through. Goes very deep into that right-hander, but manages to hold on, but surely losing out on exit speed there, and it shows on the delta time. Kenny now expanding the advantage, but still not out the slipstream, and that might be what's aiding Dr. Hash now, because he's coming back for it. And it is, of course, the slipstream. Back with the battle for 4th position. It's still Mata Kasman holding on as Choma's all over his tail, flashing the lights. He really wants to get through, but I don't think he's gonna let him. evening to Martin as well. Nice to see you, mate. Nice to see you in chat. And I hope you're doing well. I hope you've enjoyed your weekend. I certainly enjoyed mine. You're watching the second heat of the Audi TT Cup Shakedown event, organized by Dr. Hash, as Martin Kasman goes deep on the brakes into that hairpin leading into the carousel. This is where Kenny had his accident last race, but is unfazed by that. He's still holding on. 3/10 of an advantage down to Dr. Hash. I think Dr. Hash is pretty much just biding his time, and he will make an attempt when they come down to the Flugplatz or in turn 1 as they come onto the GP circuit for the final time next time around. Oh, Dr. Hash also going a little wide there, but manages to keep it all composed. Once more, Kenny's given a little bit of breathing space. And it seems Quinton hasn't really been able to take advantage of that little bit of a battling going on before, but in turn, through the Nordschleife complex, this lap, the two in front hasn't really battled out too much. It's just been Dr. Hash following Kenny close around. And that's probably good for them, because I think Quinton would be very close to close up, or very quick to close up, if he gets the chance. Let us see. Still Mark Kasman holding on to 4th in front of Chomar. And I think now CJ might be eyeing a chance that he could also return, because he's not the only one who has damage. The same goes to the 2 cars he'll be battling with here. So it's, you could say it's kind of on level terms in some way. Back to the lead battle. Let's go on board for a moment with Kenny, who gets a bad exit from the mini carousel. Oh, and a bit of bump drafting going on for Dr. Hash. But a very grown-up style of driving shown by Dr. Hash here, not making any irrational rash decisions. He's not feeling stressed. He knows he has plenty of time to get the job done, and he's he's aiding Kenny, and he's aiding in turn aiding them both in breaking away from Quinton in 3rd, and that might be what he's trying to do with this pump drafting. But of course, he doesn't want to overtake Kenny too soon down the straight as well. Let's see if the move comes as Kenny goes to a defensive inside. He won't open the door for Dr. Hash, or at least Dr. Hash won't try this time out. Let's see if we'll have an attempt from the German coming into turn 1. This might very well be. As I'm talking so much that my coffee is turning cold, oh my god. No move this time around. It seems too much of a gap. Oh, as Kenny goes very deep into turn 1. And that might actually just be the possibility that Dr. Hatch was looking for. He has the exit upon him as they're coming down towards the first chicane. The first S-bend. Side by side. It's Kenny with the inside line for the first corner. But Dr. Hatch insistently puts himself there. Puts himself in a position. They're still side by side around here. Brilliant stuff, but Dr. Hash will have the inside line for the hairpin, for the right-hander hairpin down here. I think he will take the lead as we are on the final lap. We are on the GP circuit now for the final timeout. It's Kenny, it's Dr. Hash, and it's Dr. Hash taking the lead. Oh, let's see this one once more. This was absolutely brilliant stuff. Of course, such a long battle deserves an onboard shot. And from Dr. Hash here, he's on the inside. Looking to the side to see Kenny. So close, the two. In turn, actually, Kenny got the superior exit. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That change position for the camera controls confusing me for a short second there as I'm right back into my stride, and we're at the end of the replay. Let's see how it's going. Still Dr. Hash closely followed by Kenny. So the two combatants for the lead of this race are still going at it very much. It's still very, very close indeed. Shomar has now made his way through Maracasman, and so has CJ. So I think he's suffering a little bit. Aura in 7th might be making up as well. And in turn, CJ and Shomar might be going at it. Or they will very much, because it's only half a second separating those two. 3rd place, Quentin. He's 13.5 seconds in front of these two. I think that race is over by now. And now the tables have turned, because last time around it was Kenny defending from Dr. Hash. And this time it's Dr. Hash now having made the pass. Let's see if he can put in that crucial distance to Kenny. Can he put him out the slipstream before the Flugplatz? Which is in turn what you very much need to do here around the Nürburgring if you are to make sure that your lead is to hold. Otherwise it's going to be a fight to the absolute line. Now the two down towards the Schwedenkreuz. Let's go on board with Kenny, the Dane, the fastest Dane in the world of GT Sport. Or it's between him and Apex Chris, I suppose, unless we've had any newcomers arrive from our lovely home country. If I'm not very much mistaken, if the 3390 represents the postcode of Kenny, he doesn't even live that far away from me. We could probably go and have a coffee one of these days. It'd be great fun. Anyways, it's now Dr. Hash leading the Dane, Kenny in 2nd position. It's Quentin 3rd, as it was before. Shomar, CJ, I think he's lost a little bit of time. He's had some poor luck, it seems, but he's gaining quite rapidly at the moment at Shomar. And all the while, Aura is also gaining on CJ, so we might still have something happening here. And what happened to Maracasman? Is that even more damage? Is that what happened to him? It certainly is bad luck, but it is, as we mentioned in the break, and has also been talked about in chat, it's a very, very difficult track to keep the car alive upon. It's still the lead battle very much going down between Dr. Hash and Kenny. As we are on board with the German in the lead, the organizer of the race. Is he gonna take the win in the second of the two heats here at the Shakedown event, which promises a lot? Can I just say that I'm looking forward to more of this. I'm looking forward to well, not only just seeing it for myself, but of course also giving it to you, giving it to you. We've seen some brilliant racing on display already today, so it really does bode well. Now we're back on board with Kenny, still challenging for the lead. Dr. Hash, captain of the train at the moment. Oh, as Kenny makes his way to the side. And that's crucial, that because now he has the right for track space, and they are now legit side by side. It's about who will budge, it's about who will take the position. It's Kenny taking the lead. Oh, in the middle of the Nordschleife, at a place where no one would really expect you to overtake. Brilliant stuff from the day, and let's have that on a replay if possible. That was some very, very close stuff. And it's through that kink. Oh, he gets on the curb. And then coming into the right-hander, I think Dr. Hash just realizes game is over. And the Dane Red was able to carry more speed. But I said game was over, but game very much is still on, because it's very close between the two. Kenny now with a 3/10 gap, so nothing really noteworthy, only that it's just about too big for Dr. Hash to be able to make a move. Quentin has lost quite a bit of time here on this lap. He might just be taking it easy and bringing home that third position. A second and a half in between CJ and Shamar still. 5 seconds between Aura and CJ, so Aura really also having lost out here. Kenny really pressing on. He's wanting to bring it home. And who can blame him but Dr. Hash? Well, if he can have his say. Oh, big understeer from Kenny's Audi. Of course, they're all driving Audis, but nevertheless, something we've seen the drivers battle in a good manner. And evening to GTR as well. Good to see you. And it is a very good battle indeed, and it has been lasting pretty much all of these 3 laps of the second heat. And it's been absolutely brilliant stuff. And a little mistake there from Dr. Hash. Getting a little bit too much of his car over the curbs. He is still within the slipstream, but only just as Kenny is now expanding ever so slightly. But Dr. Hash has been the better through the mini carousel. But this time around, I think Kenny gets it just right. And with just around 0.7 of a second. Oh, this is going to be enough. Oh, he went full gas here. And once again, Dr. Hash is right into the slipstream of Kenny. This might be the perfect timing. Let's go on board with the German so we can really judge that distance onto the Flugplatz for the final time. Oh, look at this. Dr. Ash making his way through ever so slowly. And the question is he going to be able to defend from Kenny, or is Kenny going to send it right back? We need some kind of overview to be able to see this situation still side by side, both of these drivers. And this is for the race. And this is for the race win on the last lap indeed. And I think it's going to be too close to call it. Oh, Dr. Hash loses it. Oh, it's going to be Kenny. It's going to be Kenny for the checkered flag. I almost lost my voice there for a moment. Out of pure excitement. Brilliant stuff from these two drivers. And Quinton, I think, has lost it because it's now Shomar in third position. CJ getting close to the Belgian as well. And an amazing battle for the race win indeed. Quinton fourth, CJ fifth, Aura's gonna take sixth. What a race, ladies and gentlemen. It was fantastic. It's gonna be Mark Kasman, 7th, Ree in 8th, and poor luck for Schosse winning the first race. He's gonna be last of the survivors here in the second heat. Great effort, Kenny. Great effort indeed. Great race, and what a battle. That was some of the best racing I've seen in I don't know, in a couple of months perhaps, or perhaps even longer. And with all the races I commented upon, I think that is something at least. It was brilliant stuff. Trials. Strong joke game. But yeah, congratulations to our Heat 1 winner, which was Schosse, and a big congratulations as well to our Heat 2 winner, Kenny. Denmark. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are nowhere near done yet, because in a couple of moments' time, we will be jumping over to the NES 1 hour of Nürburgring. And right now they are doing they're doing practice at the moment. Here we have it. The results confirmed. It was So anyways, what a great event, this Audi TT Cup, which I'm really looking forward to showing you more of and to seeing more of myself. It's gonna be a monthly feature here on the channel, so it's gonna be something we're gonna be seeing more to. Anyways, let's go and find the NES lobby. They are doing their practice right now. They've been doing so for some time. There are still 15 minutes of practice left, which gives me time to just have a little bit of a break. And it gives you the time to have a little bit of a break as well. I certainly just need quick toilet visit, quick drink, quick fill up of coffee, for example, and a little bit of extra water, since I'm suffering from cotton mouth a little bit. Do you all have wheels? I don't think, Jerry, I don't think everyone in the race before used wheels. I know that Dr. Hash plays GT Sport on a pad. At least he plays his PS4 games on a pad. I know that that CJ, Crazy John, is also using a pad, and he's using it with the motion controller steering. A doctor a day, keep the apple away. Ethan. Oh yeah. So here we are for the practice of the Nuke Shot Endurance Series returning here on Half the Race Gone. It has been a good few months of waiting since we finished Season 4. This is what is popularly known as Season 4.5. So the season in between, so to say. Series organizer of Apple in his Nuke Shot Motorsports Peugeot RC oh, as he gets slidey on the exit. I'm looking for those techno spots. We have Nilseman in the Condor racing the RLA Corvette. Oh, Martin's supposed to be there. Well, better hop in. Well, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned before, don't go anywhere. But if you need a little break, if you need a drink, if you need a little bit to eat or whatever, well, now is the time, because, well, still 13 minutes till qualifying goes live here from the NES 1 Hours of the Nürburgring. I will also be taking a short break. I'll be back within a couple of minutes tops. So yeah, don't go anywhere. Stay where you are and chill. So hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. We are getting closer to the start of the qualifying session, at least for the NES 1 hour of Nürburgring special events. And I'll be happy to take you through the details of this race. As of course mentioned before, it's 1 hour of racing. As quite apparent here, it's the Group 3 machines the drivers will be running. It'll be fuel times 2 and tires times 3. Even though it's tires times 1 only for the qualifying session, so the drivers can actually have some fresh tires to run on for their actual qualifying lap. So I'm back with more coffee. I'm back with more soda, more water, refreshed and ready to go for yet another event when we have more and more drivers getting their way, making their way onto the track for practice laps. Here is a swift young American armored core, the Lando Norris of the NES. He's been called before back in the Toyota FT1, I think difficult choice here for the Nürburgring, but he's shown to be very fast with this car before. Let's see what he can do here today. And then a veteran, I dare say, it's Splurge the second, who's back, and he's running the Audi R8. So lovely to see the Audi R8 making its entrance in the NES. We haven't seen it there before, and certainly a car that I've trials, of course. What do you expect? You know me, you've been here at my side, you see how the table looks when I'm broadcasting. But anyways, Splurge, a good level driver and a nice guy, and nice to have him back here in the NES. We'll be looking forward to see him. Then there's the Sugar Rush performance of Wake CU with that Gatorade livery today. And the very much neon yellowish greenish thing is spot on, I must say. Then it's of course a young Dutchman, Mika, in the Aston Martin V12 Vantage GT3 car. The Motul livery. Returning from the race just a minute ago, it's Schosse in the Lexus RCF. Then it's of course Martin Vijfhuizen, and Martin is running the Grip Runners GTR, a break from Riva Racing and the Cam Hatch cars that he's usually seen driving. Then it's CJ in his Olympiacos liveried Beetle. So no Wasp for today. Jim in the pits, Ninja Karma in the pits as well at the moment. So just about 4 minutes till qualifying starts. And remind you that we're running a 20-minute qualifying format. And effectively, I guess that's pretty much gonna make it a one-shot qualifying format here. The drivers might actually just be able to make 2 laps of qualifying. We'll have to see. Please don't hold me up on anything there. 8 minutes 23 from Jim, the fastest lap so far. So with times in that area, they are just about gonna make a 3rd lap. But it's gonna take some time for them to finish it, of course. And we'll be expecting the race start around 10 minutes past 8 Central European time. So Bandit and Martin both joining up under the Grip Runners banner. That is, of course, the team of Bandit, the GRM boys. And a nice signing in Martin for this event. He's a speedy gentleman, and I'd expect him to be up there in the funny end of things for today's race. As we see GRM Bandit take a big amount of curb through there. Yeah, Armored Core on his way through the carousel. And it does make a lovely noise. The FT1, I've always loved the snarl that it brings. The speedy boy, Martin. Of course, Gentleman Racing also on the grid for today's race. He made a strong entrance to the NES for the final 2 races at Les Arts, with 2 very strong, 2 strong performances and a win to cherish in the second of the 2 races in the LMP AM split. Here is Jim And Jim is running the Raven West Motorsports BMW Z4, I think. Of course, as mentioned before, it's Nilsman in the RLA Corvette. Oh, CJ's had an off, I think. He has had an off. Well, better to have him in practice than under qualifying or under the race. Here's a newcomer as well to the Nukeshot Endurance Series. So just in the AMG GT. And that's, of course, Mercedes. A very nice Bilstein livery there. Looking lovely indeed. And with all details in place, I think we're about to be starting qualifying. Oh, why Martin just left? What happened there? Well, I take it we'll be waiting for Martin before moving on with the with the racing. Apple, our race director here, showing his appreciation of Martin leaving with his classic liner there. But anyways, Martin is back in the room, and that means that we are about to be starting the qualifying session. 20 minutes of qualifying about to be live here from the Nürburgring 24-hour layout. It is, of course, our second event of the evening here on our Green Hell Sunday special. Here on Half the Race Gone, it is the Nukeshot Endurance Series special event, 1 hour of the Nürburgring. So was that the track reset? I think it was. I think it was, indeed. Qualifying is live 20 minutes from now. Outlap time is up. I'd say it'd be a good idea to get moving because if you are to reach your 3 laps around there is a little bit of time pressure at least. Of course, the most important thing on this outlap is not crashing. That can be difficult enough, especially if you feel like you're having to put on some pressure. Mika in the Aston. It's Joe of the Fire with a very, very late joining indeed. The witty professor racing the Ford GT here. Half the Race Gone racing, indeed. The HTRG Ford. I hadn't actually seen this livery before, but a lovely, lovely one indeed, I must say. A good bit of advertising for us. That's nice to see. Brilliant indeed. Of course, also an often featured driver, Joe of the Fire, and a good friend of the channel. We mentioned Stevie being one of our own. I feel like I have to mention that the witty professor very much is so as well, because I actually made it sound, I could have made it sound like Stevie is one of ours and it's no one else, but it's certainly not. We have a nice community and we have some really good people and we have a lot of fun with this stuff, both on broadcast but also in our different ways of sharing this community in our Discord and all that. We're having good fun. Anyways, Gentleman Racing, he's in the Corvette as well. Nice livery. Very nice livery as well for him, I must say. Brilliant stuff. And CJ in the Beetle. And after them it's Jim in the Z4, it's Shaza in the RCF, CRN Sim Racing, I guess it'd be. Then as the before mentioned Witty Professor in the Ford GT. Wakesy you in that Sugar Rush Performance 911. With Mika in the Aston. It's Toshost in the AMG Merc. Nilse, he's in the Vet. Martin in the second of the two GRM GTRs. Or the first on track, actually. And then, as mentioned before, the Nukeshot Motorsports car. The Peugeot RC set. The Peugeot RC set of Apple. Splurge in the Audi, looking good. GRM Bandit, as mentioned before, partnering up with Martin today. And then a latecomer, Ninja Karma. He's in the pit at the moment, but expecting him to getting out soon to putting in a lap time. But at the moment he's resting in his pits in the RLA Porsche 911. So the teammate of Nilseman, they had a strong season in the AM ranks of the NES, with Nilse taking the driver's title and them both taking the team title combined. So good stuff indeed. Let's go on board with the Gentleman Racing here for his outlap. A good bit of V8 grunt. And Gentleman Racing certainly, I'd say actually one of the drivers also to watch for today's race, because if anyone will be able to keep his car on track for an hour with no issues, it'll be him. He's shown to be a very consistent driver. And it should be mentioned that as opposed to the event we had before, the damage is only on light here. So an early accident is not gonna ruin your entire race necessarily. And that might turn out to be good for the excitement in the race. Although it could also bring a lot of the excitement the other way. But damage early on a lap here, engine damage for example, and that is effectively the race over. So of course a very warm welcome and a good evening to everyone who's joined us late here for our Green Hell Sunday special. We're underway with the qualifying session for the NES 1 Hours of Nürburgring special event in the Group 3 cars. First around the track at the moment is Gentleman Racing, but he's still on the outlap. And it's just a special thing when the outlap takes 8 minutes. And then possibly a bit more even. Last year or last season when we had this event, the last time out, we saw quite a bit of chaos as Joe of the Fire took the win in a Corvette. So a car with a good statistic, but that might also be the skill of the Witty Professor, the ones to watch for this race today. Certainly CJ, also a top spot contender. And so Schosse, who took the win in the first heat of the two Audi TT Cup races we had earlier, he also very much is a contender. Contending is also a thing for Armored Core. If he can keep the FT1 on track, I'm sure he'll have the pace to contend with the top runners here. Wakesy is a bit of an outsider, but he could have the pace in the 911. They found a setup that works for the SRP boys. That could very much be it. Martin in the GTR, we don't really know where his pace is. It's one of the unknowns. Martin usually is a very fast driver, so it's more about seeing how... It's more about seeing how he befriends the GTR. He's been doing good in the GT300 series by TSR, where he's driving the Jag. And then the before mentioned Witty Professor in the Ford GT, Joe of the Fire. Let's go a little slowly. Did we have damage? No, that's good. Just trying to save the tires, I think. He is as much as humanly possible. And then Nilsemann. He recently won an N600 2-hour endurance race here at this very track, so he'll be in form. He certainly knows his way around, and is also a consistent gentleman. It's kind of the same approach to races as Joe of the Fire is. A very meticulous planner, a very meticulous tester. He wasn't afraid of spending hours on hours on making sure that setup and everything is working perfectly. And we really saw the results of that through the 4th season of the Nookshot Endurance Series. The last season we had here, where Nilsemann took a dominant driver's victory in the AM class, and he's looking at getting promoted into the pro ranks of the NES, and I think it's very deserving indeed. Even though he's announced himself that he'd rather stay in the AM class and dominate, but I think such a dominating performance should really see you promoted. Mika, how will he do today? Can he find his pace about him? Is that a little bit of scratches to the front of the car there? I hope not. That would be a big shame for Mika. He doesn't have damage, so that's good. Then we touched on Off-Apple before. Then there's the second grip runner's car of GRM Bandit. Probably be sharing setup with Martin, though that's not sure because Bandit is running the controller, the DS4. Martin is running the Logitech G29, the Wheel of Champions. And then Splurge in the Audi. I'm really interested to see his pace. I think he might have chosen a difficult car for this track, although it's a fast car if you can find a setup that makes it stable. But that's a lot of the way. The big challenge with this car indeed is its tendency to be loose-ended, to say the least. Qualifying is now live. First on track, still Gentleman Racing will be following the drivers on their way around. This will be somewhat different from some of the very fast-paced Superpole qualifying sessions from some of the other series we've been covering. And this will have good amounts of time to check out the progress of the different drivers. Shasse here, CJ seems to be on a good time. Also seems to be having a little bit of scratches to the front of the car. Oh, has CJ had a problem? That might very well be. No, he hasn't. So it's all good for the Mad Greek. Who will win the Gravedigger? A little bit too much curb through there for CJ and getting loose on the exit. Certainly a dangerous thing here. So we're running the misty conditions in qualifying session. Certainly flat out here on the super softs. Oh, balls to the wall as we are on board with Crazy John is here. In reality, also one of the top guys of Greece. Oh, CJ slightly missing the apex, but seeming to go quite fast at the moment. Looking to pick up Shasse, and if we can catch him before the Flugplatz, he'll have a massive advantage of the slipstream. That might be what CJ's trying to do here. That certainly is a lap full of yeet from the Greek. Almost getting too much of the car, but over the curbs there, but manages to keep it within the laws. So it's CJ running third, Armored Core closing in behind him. Those are pretty close. Here is Jim and Wake CU. Those are really close on track. And that's not necessarily a good thing to be here on a qualifying. But Jim seems to be going quite well at the moment, it seems. Although Wake seems to be carrying more speed through that sector. Here is Gentleman Racing now. He's quite clearly being picked up by Schosse. And Schosse looks to be on a lap that's up to 10 seconds faster than Gentleman Racing at the moment. And how will Gentleman Racing deal with this? He'll probably have to find some way to get out of the way of Schosse if he isn't to ruin the lap of the German. I don't think this is what the German expected when he had that kind of gap up to Gentleman Racing when they started the lap. But this is what happens at the Nürburgring. And we've seen already today that the Schosse, the German, he really knows his way around. And he manages to squeeze by Gentleman Racing. That certainly was a little bit of a yeety moment as well. But both manages to get through that situation unharmed. And indeed, Ethan panic. I think they made it. I think they just about made it. CJ, he was in front of Armored Core before. He's now behind. What happened to those two? Well, CJ certainly lost out. Has he gotten damage as well? Oh, I think he might. That doesn't look too good. Oh, he hasn't got any damage. But he's certainly suffering on the pace. I think he's had a spin or something. Here's Jim still followed by Wake CU. And those two seem to be at the same sort of distance. Oh, as Jim gets wide here, and he's gonna lose it. And that's gonna be the end of his chances for qualifying. And the end of his chances for a good lap. That's a bit of the curse of the commentator, but he just got his wheels onto the grass on the right side there on the braking. And then lost it. So bad luck there for Jim. He's gonna be starting somewhat down the order, I think, at least, with this piece of bad luck. Martin Pfeiffersen is here. Need to be on the pace. Check in with Joe of the Fire, the witty professor. We haven't seen too much of him yet. He's been flying under the radar. And mind you that we also still have Nilsemann in the pits. He's of course not gonna make any laps in qualifying. So he's going to be starting from the back of affairs. And here it really is Joe of the Fire. Going balls to the wall through a very fast sector. And he's beginning to close up on Martin. Then you just have a problem up in front, because I think that gap is diminishing rather quickly, because Martin has caught up to Jim in front now. Oh, as Martin overshoots the mini carousel. And I think we're having the first drivers nearing the finish line. So let's have a look with the first one on track, and the first one that will cross the line, and that is Schosse. And I think it might also be a good bit for a pole position time today. It all depends on whether or not he lost crucial time having to lift off behind Gentleman Racing, but I don't think so. Let's see, it gets us 8 minutes and 6 seconds. That's a very strong lap from Schosse. But let's see Armored Core. He's come from out of nowhere, and he's within 8 minutes and 5.4. So that's 1 second ahead. 20 seconds down there for Gentleman Racing. That's quite a pace difference. He might have had an incident though somewhere along the lap. Here's CJ. He certainly had some sort of incident along the way. Wake CU comes across with an 8 minutes 16. So that's 11 seconds down on our best time so far. Here is Martin. He's also going to be some way down. Joe of the Fire. Oh, that's a new pole position time. Brilliantly done from the witty professor. 8 minutes and 3.7. That is a blistering lap time. Nilsemann. And the amount of times that he and Ninja, his teammate, combined in the NES Season 4 to become Ninja Man, the famous dancehall artist. I've had good amounts of fun about that. Apple taking 7th position. CJ8. Bandit seems to have taken 9th, or is that just the running order? I think that is a qualifying order at the moment. It is. Bandit down in 10th, CJ 9th, Mika 11th, Jim 12th, then Splurge crossing the line here. He has had a bad run as well, and he's going to be starting from the back of affairs. Of course, not as much from the back as I was just about to say Ninja Man, as Ninja Karma, who hasn't set a qualifying lap. Now, these drivers, I think they've actually still got a lap more to go, if they have the tires for it, because they made it out, and so should. So a little bit of a Joe of the Fire, knowing now that he has a very good first lap put in already. He can absolutely go balls to the wall for the second one. Armored Core has bent it, or is just waited, or decided not to take a second attempt. So Joe of the Fire, what a brilliant run, what a brilliant lap time that is. And I thought Shase was going to be close to untouchable. An evening to Round Robbins, nice to see you. Good evening, mate. I hope you're doing well. And I hope you'll be enjoying the race. Rooting for Shase in the CRN Lexus. And I can please Round Robbins by telling you that Shase took the win in Heat 1 of the Audi TT Cup that we covered earlier on. So Shase has got a good opportunity here to make it 2 victories in one night. Taking part in both of our races here at the Green Hills Sunday Special on Half the Race Gone. No, Shase, it hasn't been made completely clear as well. And evening as well to Gentleman Racing, or Snappy D as he's called here on YT. But I think you did a pretty good job of giving him space without slowing him down, and then without wrecking yourself as well, because that's a very difficult thing to do on the Nordschleife. It's fast, it's narrow, it's the green hell. Oh yeah, of course, well, that has to take first priority, doesn't it, Robbins? After all. So we have Joe of the Fire still hammering in a lap. Torshust is also going for it. Wake is going for it. Martin is on pause, I think, so he won't really be going for it. CJ is very much going for it. And he had a disappointing first lap, so he'll really be having something to make up here on his second lap of qualifying. Could it be redemption for the Mad Greek? We will see. Well, Shase, based on your qualifying time, I think you could be in with a shot. Here it's very much just as much about survival as it is about pace. Or it's about surviving at pace, and that's a difficult thing to do. I think you mastered it pretty well. In the Audi TT, of course, it's very different beasts running now, and also a different opposition. The witty professor is no slouch at all, and he's also known to be a very consistent gentleman. And the reigning champion from here as well. And as we mentioned, CJ also very much a runner, and CJ is on a blistering lap as well, because he's 1.3 seconds up on the faster time so far. It's all about keeping it up for CJ, who might be taking pole position with this one. Let's go on board with the Mad Greek, because this will be the one to follow. This or the lap of Joe of the Fire, of course. Through YouTube corner, he manages to keep it. He's lost 2/10 since the last timing sector, but he's still a second clear, at least as far as we can see here. But a second isn't that much. There's a car takes flight, and he still manages to keep it composed. And he's gained those 2/10 right back on the time of Joe of the Fire. Let's check in with the witty professor, because he was also on a better lap than his previous one last time out. But he has been falling somewhat off the pace, and he's 8/10 down on his own personal best from before. Then his wake, see you passing through the mini carousel. And he'll certainly also be hoping to better his best lap time so far. Now let's see, because this is the most interesting one at the moment. CJ, who on his first lap was 18 seconds down. And by no means will he be satisfied with that. He's still a second up on the time of Joe of the Fire. And Joe of the Fire will be gaining on the rest of the straight. The question is how much? The question is, I think it'll be CJ for a pole position. By now, I can say I'm actually quite sure this is a blistering lap from CJ. And it'll go to be a 1 minute, 2 seconds, and 7. And that is surely gonna take pole position for today. Joe of the Fire is second down on that time. What a lap from the Mad Greek. Brilliant stuff indeed. And it was redemption at the end of that. And good evening to Shaman. Nice to see you as well. And hope you had fun with the TT Cup races. It was at least very good fun watching you battle along. You guys provided us with some excellent racing to watch, as always. So that was good to watch. So with qualifying over with, mentioned that Toshas was the last to finish, and he comes across the line to improve his own personal best by 1.3 seconds. He's going to be starting from 6th on the grid as far as I can see. Let's see if we have any pit hangers. We have Apple, Nilsa, and Ninja Karma also hanging in the pits at the moment. And I think it showed to Shoma that a lot of you guys aren't really used to running without ABS. It sure was a lot of fun and great to watch those couple of hair-raising moments and big incidents that we had during the race. It certainly made for some interesting viewing, the no ABS rule. So now we are... I was about to say we are a destruction derby away from the start of the race, if I know the NES right. Let's see, Armored Core, Splurge. No, they're keeping it gentlemanly. to my big surprise. Now, of course, we're just waiting for the grid to be set and for the racers to do the last bits and bobs of pre-race preparations. And of course, welcome to everyone who's joined us here under the qualifying session. We're just about to get ready for the second event, the race of the second event of the evening here on Have the Race Gone. It is, of course, the traditional 1 hour of Nürburgring, the special event held by the Nuke Shot Endurance Series, who had CJ grab pole position in front of Joe of the Fire. Brilliant lap there from CJ. Chasse also up there with Armored Core. So now we're about ready for the race. We've had the track reset. The grid is lined up. And luckily, no warm-up lap. Aren't we happy? Aren't we happy about that? And of course, if you like what we do here on Have the Race Gone, throw the video a like. And if you're finding us worthy of it, do also give us a subscription to stay in touch and in tune with what we do here on the channel. We're getting very close to race start, and I for one am very, very, very excited. And while we are at the advertising, of course, next weekend sees the next IGTL 3-hour stint race with the teams competing in 2 times 1.5 hour of racing. And that's usually a festive day here on the channel. It's a festive weekend, and it's gonna be the same next weekend. It's gonna be me, it's gonna be Trals, and it's gonna be lots of close racing. And I can say as much as it's gonna be the 2008 GT500 cars that will be running, and I am very excited to see the absolute top level drivers take on these beasts of some machines. And some, especially when not allowed to change the setups of the cars, they are quite tricky to handle indeed. I think we're in for a great bit of racing. Armored Core asking in race chat if we're gonna do a warm-up lap. No, don't worry, mate. There's no warm-up lap happening. It's all good. And now we've got Ninja Karma on track as well for the first time. The French monster in his very French liveried Porsche 911. I guess all it needs is a baguette and a glass of wine. Just you ask Shoma about that. But it's a nice one as well with the tricolore. Splurge, he had a poor qualifying session. I think he'll be hoping for better things come the race. It might turn out to be true what I mentioned about the Audi R8 being a tricky car to handle. But of course, with the right setup, it can be changed indeed. Jim putting it into the wall through the Hatzenbach. Schosse and Toshast close to each other. And first time we've seen a Belarusian in the NES, so it's of course very nice to see, and I hope that Toshast will also be joining us for Season 5 when we get that far. Of course, we've got a good bit of special events coming up over the next, well, 1.5 months or so. Every second Sunday is going to see another NES special event, and they're kind of in different directions with different themes. The next one in 2 weeks is going to be 1 Hour of Saint Croix. We're going to be having a eco race with Group 4 cars at Suzuka. We'll be seeing a Group 4 endurance race at Bathurst. We'll be seeing a Group 4 endurance race at Willow Springs. We've got a lot of good stuff in store for you over the coming weeks here on the channel. Also, I can tell you as much that the TSR organizing team is looking at a follow-up to the GT300 championship, which is gonna probably be a GT500 only championship. That's gonna be interesting as well. And evening to the GOAT. Nice to see you, mate. Happy Sunday to you as well. I hope you've been enjoying your weekend so far, and I hope you'll be enjoying the rest of it with us here on Have the Race Gone. We are very close to the start of the 1 Hour of Nürburgring special event. And here goes the counter. Mind you, it's a standing start, so we might see a lot of yeet on our way down to turn 1. Good luck to all the racers who are also here in chat. Good luck to you guys. Take it easy through turn 1. Evening to Carbon as well. Don't recall you having seen you in chat, so a very warm welcome. And I hope you are enjoying the show. So it's CJ in front of Joe of the Fire, then it's Armored Core Schosse, then it's Wake CU in the 911 in front of Toshast, Martin, and Nilse in 8th. And with one lights on, and here the lights are off, and that means that the drivers are on their way. The 1 Hour of Nürburgring has started, and Joe of the Fire has gotten a brilliant start. CJ basically standing still, and is it going to be Schosse? Can he throw it up the inside of CJ? He most certainly can. They're going to be too wide through turn 2. Oh, Schosse goes quite wide here, gets a little bit skittish on the exit. It seems everybody's gone pretty cleanly through turn 1 so far. Oh, as Toshast goes way wide and gets sent off into the gravel trap. Oh, bad luck for him. I'm not sure there was any kind of contact there. It's the Witty Professor leading CJ, Schosse, Armored Core, and Wake CU here on that one. It's Martin Fairperson in the Grip Runners GTR in 6th. Then Nilsemann in the RLA Corvette, 8th position in the Nuke Shot Motorsports Peugeot. It's off Apple. He's running in 8th at the moment. So CJ already now making contact once more. Making contact because he's not actually touching Joe of the Fire, but he's catching up to the Witty Professor. Let's just have a look at the start once more. Or is it gonna throw it all much than before? I think it is. We're gonna be waiting forever. I'm sorry. And I don't want to miss the action anyways here as they make it on to the Nordschleife. CJ second, Schosse is 3rd and really knocking on the door as well with Armored Core in 4th. And we're gonna see some battling now. CJ onto the Nordschleife where it seems that the Beetle does have the advantage. Oh, let's see the GT, the Ford GT going quite sideways here. Joe of the Fire, let's go on board with him. Having a look over the rear wing. Close traffic here for the top 4. with Armored Core also staying in touch in behind. As we go on board with the Mad Greek in second, as he's looking to find his way through. He's ducking, he's diving all over the place. Oh, he's gonna lose it. Oh, what a save from CJ. Almost lost it. On their way down to the Schwedenkreuz. Let's have another look at that. Because that was some hair racing stuff indeed. As he just gets a tire wide, goes back onto the other side, manages to keep that car under control. That's brilliant stuff indeed. But he lost some time, and now he's really got shots of a company, and the German is very close to the bumper of the Greek, and it's Armored Core in fourth position, really just biding his time. Let's see further down, it's Martin now in a duel with the Wake CU for fifth position. Very close also. Still status quo between the top runners here. Four cars very close indeed. So Joe of the Fire, CJ, Shasa and Armored Core. Still the running order between the top four. Audi, this was Armored Core almost getting too wide on the exit there. Oh, Jim has left. That's an early disconnect. Poor luck. F's out for Jim indeed. It's just so difficult to find anywhere to overtake here on the Nordschleife. I think the Ford GT has a good grunt. Oh, CJ going a little wide there. Might enable Joe of the Fire to just extend his gap, and he's got a penalty as well. He's got a small penalty, it's half a second for CJ. But more importantly, he's lost time to Joe of the Fire. He's now 6/10 down. And seems to go a little deep, seems to be sliding all over the place. And I think Shot is really going to be wanting to get through here, because he looks to be getting held up a little bit by CJ at the moment. Armored Core keeping his distance, and he's in a very good position to save both tires and fuel here. And just know that it isn't his time to do anything overly aggressive, but it might show in the strategy later on. CJ here able to carry a lot of speed through that kink. Let's check it out here, as it's still a battle between Wake CU, Martin Favhersen and Nilsemann. Now having joined these two as well in a battle for fifth position. In behind, it's Off-Apple in eighth. He's a little bit alone at the moment. Down in ninth, it's Troshost, who had that accident on the GP track, but he's come back pretty well from that. Gentleman Racing in 12th. Splurge down in 11th with the company from Ninja Karma. Those two quite close. Then it's Mika running 13th at the moment. And he's also got a little bit of company from GRM Bandit in 14th. Oh, and CJ has overtaken Joe of the Fire. What has happened here? Just about too late. It seems Joe of the Fire made some kind of mistake. And of course, as Joe of the Fire! Indeed, Shoma. It's so true. So now CJ having grabbed the lead once more. Oh, almost getting it wide there. Joe of the Fire and Shaze through YouTube corner. And both of them just about keeping it on track. CJ, all of them getting airborne over that crest. Seems like a scene out of Durden Rally. CJ was expanding as he's lost some time through this fast sector. And Joe of the Fire is now nailing him back. I think he's made a mistake or something. He's at least lost some time, because he's thrown away a 7/10 advantage after Joe of the Fire made the mistake before. Now coming down towards the mini carousel, it's going to be hard for CJ to defend that when Joe of the Fire gets in the slipstream down towards the Flugplatz. I think, no, he's not gonna be, it's just my eyes deceiving me. I saw Joe of the Fire just making his way with the nose up the inside now. It's just also very close to Joe of the Fire here. Is he gonna make an early move? Or is it just gonna be the long bump draft? I think it's gonna be bump drafting to catch up to CJ here. Oh, it's just gonna be trying to keep up with that Ford GT. Look at the top speed of Joe of the Fire's car. It's absolutely demolishing everyone else here. And he easily overtakes CJ for the first position indeed. Let's see if CJ will be able to return the favor coming into the final couple of corners. He'll be able to put the car there, but will he be able to outbrake Joe of the Fire as they come in side by side? CJ, oh, as Joe of the Fire gets a push, and he's off the witty professor. Oh, the wrong way around. Around he goes, but he loses big loads of time there. Let's see that again. Let's go on board. Oh, he hit the wall there, coming in through the kink. Then gets a tap from under the car, and he's the wrong way around. Poor luck for Joe of the Fire. Now it's CJ and Armored Core, the two former teammates of the NES, going side by side through the opening corners. Shots it down into third position, biding his time. He knows this is a long race. We've only just gotten the first lap over with. And still plenty of time to make mistakes. And even plenty of time for Joe of the Fire to make his return. Because in turn we could see everyone else also making mistakes. But bad luck for Joe of the Fire now with 7.3 seconds to make up. He's got Wake in 5th. Nils is now in 6th position. That means Martin has probably also made some kind of mistake. He's lost out on a position to Nilseman. This is now only 2 seconds in front of Off-Apple, who's in 8th, in front of Toshast, who is in 9th at the moment. Oh, Martin goes drifty. A little too close to the Japanese roots of the car. And now CJ, having put in his advantage into shots, is now outside of... he's outside of the slipstream gap. And just as I say that, shots is eating his way in. But not closing in enough. And now they're heading on to the Nordschleife. You could expect the Beetle to have a pace advantage here. So it's CJ first, it's Schosse the German in second position. Third now is Joe of the Fire. So Armored Core must have cocked it up as well. And we won't be able to catch that as well. But Armored Core having made some kind of mistake, and that's allowed Joe of the Fire back through. And those two will have their work cut out in closing the gap up to the 2 leaders, even though I think Joe of the Fire isn't really losing out on too much time, and he has shown that he has the pace. The witty professor quite unlucky, and I don't know if there was a little bit of contact when he was off on the last lap. Wake CU also not too far behind these two. 2.7 seconds. Though I must say at the moment Nilseman's pace seemed to be quite impressive as well in the Corvette. And closing in on Wake. And in the meantime, Schoss has also been closing the gap up to CJ. It's now just half a second. Brilliant stuff going on. And a lot of action. We're really getting... we're getting treated here with all the good stuff. Good exit from CJ. Just as I say that, it turns out that he doesn't really get a good exit at all. Carries too much speed through the corner, and now he's losing out to Schosse. And it does seem to be the balance between the two. CJ very aggressive, a little bit faster. Oh, CJ gets wide! And that's the opening for Schosse, who's passed up and take the lead. Oh, CJ. It didn't take a lot for him. Let's just go back a couple of seconds to see the mistake. Got a drift on, and as he corrected, he got too wide He got onto the grass and Shatter the German was quick to take advantage of that. He's now up into the lead. CJ with... Oh, it's going to be put out of the slipstream. It's going to be a problem since the Beetle really does lack grunt. And of course, Joe of the Fire will also be catching up now in turn. So Joe of the Fire still with company from Armored Core around 7/10 behind. But those two would do wisely not to battle too hard at least. Still just under 3 seconds down from these two. It's Wake CU, Nilsemann and Martin Fabersen. I think Martin is catching up to Nils ever so slightly there. A little bit of a mistake from Wake. Getting sketchy on the exit. And another thing that we haven't really been, or at least that I haven't been talking about it, and that means we haven't touched upon it yet. And it's of course a strategy. And in turn, I think we should just take a look at what tires the different cars are running here. Shasha on the super softs and CJ on the mediums. So that's definitely going to be in the advantage of CJ if he can keep pace of Shasha here at the beginning of the race, and keep the car steady as well. Joe of the Fire also on the mediums. Armored Core running the softs. Wake is on the mediums. Nils is on the softs. Martin's on the softs. Apple is on the mediums. Toshast is on the hards, so good job there keeping up with Apple. Gentleman Racing is running softs as well. Bandits on mediums. Mika on mediums. And Splurge on the hards, who's just had a big off here. Oh, poor luck for Splurge indeed. So good to know that the tire difference is also what's causing the speed difference here as Shasha is running wide. Oh. And picks up a 1.4 second penalty. That is certainly not what he was looking for. Oh, a CJ loses it big time through the downhill section there. And that's going to put Joe of the Fire right back into contention for second position at least. Let's have a look at it again. I just caught that out the back of my eye. CJ goes wide once more. We've seen him do it a couple of times in the TT race that he also took part in. I think he gets away a little bit more luckily than Joe of the Fire, but he'll of course have some damage, and both Joe of the Fire and Armored Core now going at it hard indeed. And it's a 10-second gap from these three drivers, or a 9-second gap more or less from these three up to leading driver Shase. And I think he's a dangerous one to be left alone like that out in front. Let's see how he can work the strategy out. Oh, as Joe of the Fire has a massive slide on his way down to the mini carousel. Being put under massive pressure from Armored Core at the moment. I think Armored Core will make his way past. Oh, and CJ just had another big moment there as well. As Joe of the Fire makes his way through, let's just have a look. What happened to CJ? Oh, he just goes wide through that mini carousel and gets a very slow exit indeed. And what's now happening on the Flugplatz straight is that Joe of the Fire is jumping up into second. Armored Core is on the other side. They're pretty much going to be 3 wide here, it seems. Because CJ somehow got the run on Joe of the Fire. I don't know how that's possible. CJ goes to get the zook of the very fast Toyota, and that in turn put Joe of the Fire fourth. So it's incredibly intense here. I fear I might be losing my voice if the drivers don't ease it up a notch. Of course they shouldn't. As we're closing in on the first 20 minutes of racing down here, CJ getting slidey. And Joe of the Fire losing some time on the exit here. CJ with Armored Core going very defensive. And all this battling is really playing into the hands of Shase, who's now left in front to do his own thing, to run his own pace, to take it, well, how he feels he can take it and still get absolute maximum out of the tires without getting pressure here. CJ reclaiming second position from Armored Core, so it seems Armored Core trying to get for the cutback. CJ just getting in the way, and Joe of the Fire too far back to get anything out of this. Let's have a look at that action once more. Inside the car here of Armored Core. Looks at the side, there's CJ. As he tries to get a run out of the corner. Just isn't able to. Armored Core, who unless he has turned 17 since last time he told me his age, is only 16 years of age. Doing a heckin' strong job of keeping up with the CJ at the moment. Joe of the Fire a little bit behind. He might be suffering with the mediums compared to the softs of Armored Core. Question is also for how long can these cars keep it running? Because if it is so that CJ and then Schosse and Armored Core will be in with a massive advantage, a pit stop takes quite an amount of time here, so yeah. So we're now on the third lap. We've had a disconnect and a retirement from Splurge, who had poor luck in the Audi R8. Better luck next time. And it was, of course, nice to see Splurge back in the NES, but such a shame that it didn't work out better for him. But anyways, we're on the third lap. We're closing in to 20 minutes of racing done, which means there'll be 40 minutes of racing left here from the Green Hell. And I'd like to say a very warm welcome to everyone who's tuned in within, well, since we started this race, pretty much. We've had brilliant action going on since the flag was dropped. And Schosse has been going smoothly. He's leading these three drivers by 9 seconds. Joe of the Fire now ever so slightly falling behind. He's out of the slipstream. He's 1.5 seconds down on Armored Core. And is this the gap being broken to the Witty Professor once and for all? We'll have to see. It's still Armored Core trying to put the pressure onto CJ for second position. We've seen these positions change back and forth many, many times indeed. So expect them to do so again later on. I think Schosse has made a mistake up here because he's losing time. He's bled half a second to these two over the last couple of corners. Ethan more gold coming out of nowhere. But then again, it's just Ethan deciding that chat is too quiet and it's time to liven it up. Oh, indeed it is. Slipdiff says yo, but Slipdiff, we're in the middle of a race. And that's of course in the lobby. He woke up for a nap and felt like shit posting. Well, you're good at shit posting, Ethan. So can't blame ya. Here's Joe of the Fire. Oh, he's lost. He's lost some more time, and there's also Martin and Nils battling. And Nils up into 5th position. Martin having lost out. And where is Wake? Where is Wake? Did he pit in? He must have. I kind of feel like Wade must have pitted in at this point. And what was that? CJ stopping completely. What's going on? What is going on with the Mad Greek here? As we're trying to catch it. Oh, he was into the wall. He was into the wall. F's out for CJ. That is big, big off. That is a lot of time lost for the Mad Greek. And he will very much be mad inside of the car. Now this is the battle for 4th position. Nilsemann and Martin Pfeiffersen really going at it with side-by-side action here. Up towards the king, and it's gonna be Martin overtaking Nilsen. Martin back up into 4th position. Strong job from the man from Pfeiffersen, the town with 7 houses. Thanks for the tip, John. Of course, it's John for Games. The usual teammate of Martin in the Reaver Racing Cam Hatch team. Here cheering his usual teammate on. Up into 4th position. Running very strong at the moment, I must say. Martin consistently looking good. But same can be said of Nils at the moment. Don't know why he's ghosting out so much. Oh yeah, of course, the engineer of Martin at the moment. Yeah, that's of course. Why not? Armored Core in 2nd position with a 4-second gap down to Joe of the Fire in 3rd, and an 8-second gap in turn up to Schasse in the lead. So he's closed a bit of the gap up to Schasse, and he's certainly broken it down to Joe of the Fire. And with that bad luck of CJ, it's going to be very hard for him to return now with such a big crash. I think it's going to require everyone else to have a crash of the same magnitude. Of course, it already happened to Joe of the Fire, but now it's happened to CJ twice. And I think there really won't be any coming back from that. Oh, Armored Core goes wide. Oh, brilliant save from the American. Let's catch that again, because it was very close as we go on board with the American. And that's true. It's not YouTube corner, it's the following one. Just getting that tire too wide on the exit of the corner and almost losing it all. Spills half a second, and that's almost all of what he gained there. Also completely missing the apex of the mini carousel. So there's Joe of the Fire, ever so slowly appearing, trying to catch up to Armored Core, who's on softer tires. Let's see how this plays out in the long run. Schass has picked up a small penalty here, as we've been running for 25 minutes now. It's a question that if they can run one more lap, it'll be a one-stopper. Schasse is pitting now, however. He's got enough fuel, so the question is, will he be able to run an extra lap on this second stint? Armored Core also pitting in this time around, and Joe of the Fire, same thing goes for him. Martin pitting in this time around as well. CJ, Nilse, and Schass is out. That's as expected. And then I'd expect Armored Core to be next. Fueling. Joe of the Fire massively undercutting Armored Core here. I don't know how that is possible, to be honest. Maybe Joe of the Fire is aiming for a two-stop. Maybe Armored Core is aiming for a one-stop strategy. I don't know. But there was a massive, massive difference in pit stop time there indeed. And look at that. Toshash coming out of the pits in 4th position. CJ is 5th. Then come Martin down in 6th position. And Nilse also having lost time. He's out in 7th. Then off Apple, Wake CU has had a bad lap there. He's down in 9th. Pitting in then in 10th at the moment. It's Gentleman Racing. Then it's GRM pitting in from 11th. And then Mika is probably going to be looking to pit in as well when he gets around. So Schasse expanding the lead through that pit round. He's now 10.8 seconds up on Joe of the Fire, who's reclaimed 2nd place from Armored Core. Joe of the Fire is now 3.2 seconds up. And is Joe still running on the mediums? No, Joe of the Fire now on the softs instead. So that's also an interesting choice for him. Armored Core, as mentioned, 3rd. Then Toshash getting a very, very, very nice pit round there. And next it in. Oh, that's because he didn't pit in. That explains. That explains. That really explains. So Toshast in 4th position because he didn't pit in, and that means he'll be on a sure one-stopper while everybody else is going to be on a little bit of what could be called a little bit more uncertain one-stoppers. I think Joe of the Fire putting on the hards at the pit stop here. Well, that might be a sign that he's either he's seen that his tire wear is so low that he can actually stretch that for a set of softs, or he's going for a split stint here on the last couple of laps. Though I'd be a little bit surprised to see him do that. So Toshast here, he's 26 seconds down. He's now going to be more or less in the way of CJ. CJ is running with a 9.4 second penalty. And that is by no means going to make it easier for the Mad Greek in 5th position. Martin in 6th. Nilse in 7th. And I'm kind of surprised to see CJ being able to pass all of these guys on that pit round before. But look who's now appearing in the mirrors of Martin Pfeiffersen once again. It is German Nilsemann, who lost out on some time through the pit round, but he has been a lot quicker on his outlap here. And he's caught up to Martin in a nice fashion. And he's now ready to get back into the good battle that they were running before. Now Nils are really looking to put on the pressure to Martin. He gets a clearly superior exit out of the hairpin. I think he's on softer tires. Looks to have some kind of advantage at least. Oh, as he goes deep into that left-hander. I think Nils got struck by a case of overtaking horniness, and it became a little too much for him to bear. And he just almost lost it, which is what we see happen so often. When you've been catching onto a guy, you see, oh, I have to pace here. Oh, I'm gonna go for the overtake. I'm gonna do it. And then you bin it. But Nils indeed on the softer tire. Oh, he's looking to find a way past Martin. And I think it's gonna be difficult for Martin. We're just gonna tell him to no riding. Like in Wimbledon, quiet please. So Shaza leading Joe of the Fire by 9.1 second. And then the Witty Professor running a 2-second advantage over Armored Core at the moment. And the grip advantage has been turned around because now it's Joe of the Fire on the soft compound. I think it's Armored Core running the medium compound this time around. Crazy John is here. CJ, he's in 4th position with indeed a huge penalty. Toshast, he's running 5th at the moment, but he hasn't pitted yet. He will have to pit this time around, I think. And he might be running a heavy fuel saving strategy by now in order to make it around. He is quite low on fuel. So I think he might be bleeding time because of just that. And Martin and Nils are still locked close, but they'll certainly be gaining on the Belarusian in front of him. And then further down, it's Apple in 8th position still, looking pretty good for him. Of course, we're now past the half the race gone marker with 27.5 minutes of racing left. So Apple running 8th. In 9th, it's Wake CU in the Sugar Rush Performance Porsche, not really having the race that he would have wanted to, suffering some of that bad luck. In 10th at the moment, it's Gentleman Racing in the Corvette, GRM Bandit in the 2nd, GTR in 11th, and Mika at the moment running in 12th position. So it's Chasse, he's trying to rub off some of that penalty. Mind you, he was only running 4/5/10th penalty. It's going to be costing CJ in 4th a lot of time with that 9.3 seconds. He's shaving off 1/10 since he received the penalty. Oh, Ethan. Jeez. It's hard to say anything here without it being returned. Promptly returned. Fired straight back into my face. So now Tosha's pitting in with a minimal amount of fuel left. He came from the hard tires. Let's see what he's going to be exiting on. And that means that Martin will be claiming 5th now, and Nils is back up into 6th as well. And Apple perhaps will be claiming 2nd or 8th, 7th from the Belarusian here. Tires and fuel, of course, is going to be a long stop for him. Now Chasse has lost quite some time actually, the gap down to 7.7 seconds here. Joe of the Fire is pressing on. And as we say that, Chasse is a second up on his fastest lap so far, but Joe of the Fire even faster. And as I say that, Armored Core in behind even faster than that, catching Joe of the Fire all at the same time. So at the moment, it's all coming back together between the top 3. Armored Core in the Toyota FT1. It could also be that he has a setup that's faster for the GP track, and then as they come onto the Nordschleife, he starts to suffer. There is quite a difference. Oh, Joe of the Fire goes wide up in front, and that's gonna make the rest of his advantage diminish. And now Armored Core is going to be very close. He's going to be within the slipstream. 2 seconds up on the quickest time so far. And Joe of the Fire also having picked up a penalty. Let's go on board with the rearwards facing camera on the Ford GT. As he'll be trying to defend, as he'll be trying to block the speedy Toyota in 3rd. And we mentioned also that Armored Core certainly would be one to watch for this race. And by no means has he proved me wrong. He's very much still in contention. Who are absolutely hammering at the moment. And Armored Core even more so than Joe of the Fire, I think. He's on a stellar lap at the moment. Even though the witty professor seems to have regained his rhythm. And that can be a really hard thing when you push too hard, get a little wide, almost crash here. And then have to pick up the pieces and fall back into whatever rhythm you were pushing before. And yeah, chat, let's hear your bits on a winner, as Trials also so eloquently asks you all, who do you think is gonna take it? Is it gonna be Shasse, Joe of the Fire, or Armored Core? Which are pretty much the three drivers in contention at the moment here, with just over 20 minutes of racing remaining here, as Armored Core is getting very close to the rear end of the Ford in front. So much within the slipstream, but Joe of the Fire isn't really gonna budge whatsoever, and it isn't a place for overtaking unless you ask Kenny, who brilliantly did that on the outside just around that left kink in the Audi TT race. Still Joe of the Fire hanging on. Armored Core within 3/10. And you can just see on the way that Ford GT is behaving that it is under absolute maximum pressure at the moment. No, that's actually true, Trials. But in the meantime, Shasse is keeping it steady out in front. And it's a difficult balance for him because he has the advantage out in front. And I'm sure he's just wanting not to push too hard to play it safe. Problem is that if he lets off too much, he'll actually leave him with a chance of coming back on, because the time you gain from really pushing here, well, it can be quite a lot. But as I say, that Shasse is also on a best lap. So all the top three drivers are all on laps that are faster than anything else we've seen so far in the race. But it is Shasse's race to lose at the moment. Joe of the Fire is still struggling with that penalty as well, 1.2 seconds. He's gonna need some way to scrub that off. Although they have been gaining on Shasse this lap, especially Armored Core. Oh, Joe of the Fire going sideways on corner entrance. And then missing the apex in turn. And then that's what happens when you get just slightly off racing line. Now they're gonna be side by side. I think it's gonna be Armored Core with the run on Joe of the Fire, and probably also with a little bit more top speed than the Ford GT, but it's gonna help Joe of the Fire if he's gonna be allowed to bump draft, if he can even keep up with the slippery Toyota. Look at that speed difference. When Shasse's in the pits, Shasse's in the pits. Is that for and Joe of the Fire as well? So the two stoppers are pitting. Armored Core is going on. Armored Core is continuing all by himself on his racing softs. And now the question is, will he be able to make those tires last for, well, effectively 2 more laps? And will he have the fuel for 2 more laps? If it is, it'll be a brilliant strategical move from Armored Core. It might also be an attempt to overcut his rivals here. We shall see. Shots gaining a little bit time on the pit stop round on Joe of the Fire. Exits with an 8.7 second advantage. Martin, will he be getting the better of CJ as Nilsson pits in here with a lot of fuel left? And CJ leaves here, but still with 8.6 seconds of penalty. And in turn, Martin does capture that 4th place. And he'll be leaving Nilsson in the dust now, ever since Nilsson had his 2nd pit stop. Apple pitting in, Wake pitting in as well this time around. That's a very long stop from Nilsson here. I think he's brimming the tank. That doesn't seem to be necessary. Here's Wake. Fresh tires for him. And Nilsson's exiting now. Oh, it's Apple's only starting his stop there. And there's the Sugar Rush Performance exiting pits in 8th position, but it's going to be pretty close with him and Gentleman Racing. Only a couple of seconds to split them apart at the moment. Apple's going to be rejoining in 10th. Then it's going to be Bandit, but a minute down on Apple. And then him and Mika actually not too far apart. So Armored Core now 22.3 seconds ahead of Schutte, but with a pit stop less. Really interesting. And here I was calling out that it was Schutte's race to lose, and then all of a sudden we might be seeing Armored Core with this different strategy that might just pay off for him in the end. Schutte's further expanded by a couple of tenths down to Joe of the Fire. And then there's a good gap down to Martin in 5th. And let's check the gap between him and CJ now. That's only 1.6 seconds. So that's surely going to be a battle to follow here for the last 2 laps. Given that CJ just doesn't fly straight up on the Dutchman with his fresh tires. And go straight past. Armored Core did set the fastest lap time around there with an 8 minutes and 8. And that's pretty good for a race lap, not set on the super softs. So 15 minutes of racing remaining. And that'll translate to this lap plus 1 more lap of racing, and that will, I think, pretty much be it. Could they make it onto another one? They actually could just be 3 laps remaining. We'll have to see. I'm not quite sure. No mathematical genius. Now it's CJ, still with 9.5 seconds of penalty. Putting on the pressure to Martin Favors, and I think he's gonna buckle here. Martin, is he? He certainly is. He's gonna keep the car somewhat on track. And as I say that, he's way wide, and he's certainly lost it. And let's just have another look as he buckled under the pressure applied from the Mad Greek. That is Crazy John just went flying over the curb there, did he? And then he went for a field trip, botanizing the little grass field there, and then well, that's that battle over with for now. Martin down into 5th position. He's pushing a 21.5 second advantage over to Schust in 6th. And Nils is 7th then at the moment. Wake in 8th. And Apple, I think, 9th. No, Gentleman Racing is up into 9th position. But just by a second ahead of Apple. And then it's Bandit and Mika. Oh, and Schust has picked up 3 seconds of the gap up to Armored Core. So if Armored Core does need to pit again, he will be looking at some kind of problem here, I think. Because bleeding time like that is not gonna win you the race, and especially if you started out with a 7-8 second deficit as Armored Core did. He's in no position to bleed time away. But Of course, Chasse is on fresher tires at the moment. Oh, this is gonna be really exciting indeed. And I think there might just be 2 laps of racing left to do. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to see. Once he makes it to the line, then I think we'll have some more certainty about it. And it might be very close whether they're gonna make 7 or 8 laps of racing, I guess. No, by no means it's gonna be the next one that's gonna... Oh, Armored Core going wide here once more. I'm breaking my head thinking about how much time is left. Oh, he picks up a little bit of a penalty. He's 5.2 seconds down on his personal best. So those tires are most certainly beyond their best days. And he's now just struggling to keep the pace in the car. And that's hard enough on any given racetrack. Here on the Nordschleife, that is certainly not optimal conditions. He's lost. Look at how he's bleeding time. And that must just be... I mean, it must be spurring Chasse on that you can just see the delta time drop and drop and drop and drop. Corner for corner for corner. He's just eating his way into that advantage. So pit stop, or not even without a pit stop, it might still come together for a very, very close finish. Even though I do think that in the end, well, I don't think Armored Core is going to be able to keep this car running. As in turn, I think it is going to be 2 more laps with still more than 10 minutes to go. And he's on the Flugplatz straight. Under the bridge and through the kink. And it is certainly going to be 2 more laps. And Armored Core, there the answer is for us. He's not going to be able to run 2 more laps on his tires. He dips in immediately for another pit stop. Here is Chasse. He looked like he had his hazard lights on for a moment there. And that means that Chasse is going to retake the lead now. And I think Joe of the Fire might be closer to Armored Core than we think. Here Armored Core leaves the pits. Oh no, it's still going to be with a little bit of an advantage down to Joe of the Fire, who in turn is 7.8 seconds down on Chasse. And we're back to the situation we had before, where it was very much Chasse's race to lose. And it is so yet again. But the amount of position switching we've had between these drivers, first, second and third, well, it's been amazing to follow. It's gone back and forth. And it's been an unpredictable race. If any now Martin's pitting in once again, he might be finding that he'll be needing fuel. And that might propel Toshast into the top 5. And it might in turn also, let's see, Nilsemann might be Toshast also pitting in this time. So this might play into the hand of Nilsemann in the end. It's all a question of when Martin's going to be let loose. He's there, Nilsemann is way past. And in the end, the strategy of Nilsemann, although it sometimes looks weird, here it seems to be on point. Nilsemann now holding on to that 5th position. It looks to be Wake also getting into 7th now. Toshast leaving the pits in 8th position in front of Apple. And Apple, I think he's... no, it's Gentleman Racing pitting in as they were having a battle before. Oh, now Chasse's lost half of its advantage down to Armored Core. Oh, what's going on here? And it's not because Armored Core is just flying, because he certainly made a mistake. Chasse has certainly made a mistake. it's close by now. It's 3.2 seconds. And now it's Armored Core able to smell the blood. So with one more lap to do, this can still go all the way to the line. Shots leading Armored Core, but just by a couple of seconds. Joe of the Fire 7.5 seconds down. So it now looks like it's going to be between Shotta and Armored Core if they can keep it on track, of course. Might still at the end go down to Joe of the Fire. If they can't, CJ's in 4th, still with that big penalty. And 21 seconds down on Joe. 37 seconds in front of Nilseman, who's running in 6th position with a 6-second advantage down to Martin. Let's check back in with the leaders, because Armored Core is really now digging into the advantage of Shotta. And the tables have been turned completely since the last lap, where Armored Core bled time away. Now he's gaining at just about the same rate that he was losing time on the lap before, and he will have an advantage on the final lap of racing with his fresher tires. But of course, on the Nordschleife, one thing is catching your opponents, and another thing is passing him. Of course, there are good options on the Grand Prix circuit, and that might be where we'll see Armored Core make his move. He could also wait until the Flugplatz last time around. That could also be a viable strategy actually for him. 1.2 seconds the gap is now down to, so it's really diminishing quickly. And if I were Shotta, I'd really be sweating at the moment. But it's such a difficult one to call, because if Armored Core is pressing too much here, his tires might even go on him before the end as well. So it's by no means over. Shotta is on a personal best, and so is Armored Core. I'd imagine Joe of the Fire is losing a little bit of time to the two leaders at the moment. And it's now within a second. Let's go on board with the rearwards facing camera of the CRN Lexus. Shotta almost getting too far wide there as he bleeds even more time. And just that little mistake, that's not what he can afford to do right now. Not at all. Jumping back with Armored Core. As he's like a shark in the water who smells blood now. Closing in on its target. You can't stop thinking, Shotta, don't cock it up. He's defending brilliantly at the moment, shutting the door wherever he needs to shut it in order not to let Armored Core get up the inside. You can really hear the frantic sound of the Toyota FT1 engine here. Still a personal best as well for Shotta, so it's an absolute flyer at the moment for Armored Core. We're back on board with Armored Core. I think it's some excellent stuff to watch, as two cars driven by such skilled drivers here within 2/10 of each other for such a long period of time on such a demanding track. Armored Core showing great patience, and especially considering his young age, he's doing brilliantly here. Young age, he's not any much longer. Oh, that might be the possibility for Armored Core. He lifts and waits. And I think maybe just realizes that the outside isn't the place to be for this long right-hander coming onto the Flugplatz straight here. Joe of the Fire still 8 seconds down. Here he comes. Armored Core is gonna go for it. So now as they head on to the final lap, still 2 minutes remaining. And that means that we will be doing 8 laps of racing here. And by quite a margin even. So there's now 1 lap remaining for these two to settle it. And it now all of a sudden looks to be advantage Armored Core with the late pit stop and the fresher tires. Now he's pitting in. Armored Core, he's under-fueled. He's only got 9 liters of fuel left. That was, of course, the explanation behind that blistering pace. Now he's having to pit in as they come on to the final lap, and he's really cocked it up, Armored Core, because I don't see any way back from this. No matter how quickly he's able to go, no matter it doesn't fuel, I don't think it's gonna matter. He might be able to catch Joe of the Fire, but 8-9 seconds by now, that's a lot to ask. So as we thought that Armored Core was in for a winning ride here, he's underfueled on his last stint. Pitting in now, returning to track in 3rd position, 18.3 seconds down on Schosse in the race lead, and 9.5 seconds down in turn on the Witty Professor in 2nd position, who now looks to be heading for that 2nd spot on the podium. And just as well as we didn't expect Schosse to be heading towards the victory 1 minute ago, we certainly wasn't expecting Joe of the Fire to be heading towards 2nd. Either CJ, still 4th, but only 8.7 seconds down on Armored Core. And Speedstar, that's actually true that 18 seconds can diminish quickly on a lap around here. It's a couple of mistakes and then you get the nerves and then you quickly lose that amount. Oh, CJ getting a cut there. And a shortcut penalty, or a penalty for expanding, I guess it is. But still harshly struck by the penalties here. 11.3 seconds. It's Nilsson 5th. It's Martin Fagersen in 6th position in front of Wake and Toshast, who's now past the line. He's not going to do the last lap of racing. So Toshast is going to finish 8th. Apple is going to finish in 9th position in front of Gentleman Racing, who had to pit. And then Mika's overtaking Bandit. He's going to finish 11th. And then GRM Bandit is going to finish 12th. Let's jump back to that lead battle. Schosse now 9.3 seconds. He's expanding his lead down to Joe of the Fire. And by the way, Speedstar, I don't recall seeing you in chat before, so warm welcome to Have the Race Gone. If it's your first time here, hope you have been enjoying the racing here tonight. Anyway, Schosse 9.5 seconds. Let's see, Armored Core 6.8 seconds. That gap is quickly diminishing up to Joe of the Fire. So we could still be looking at 16.3 up to Schosse, 6.6 up to Joe of the Fire. Oh, this is gonna be exciting all the way. I think Armored Core might actually be able to catch Joe of the Fire, given that Joe of the Fire is kind of suffering by now, perhaps on his tires. It does look that way. And I would... Oh, just as I cut to it, he suffers the curse of the commentator and runs wide the Witty Professor. And that's going to make it an easy one for Armored Core to catch up. Oh, tables are turning yet again. And now only 3 seconds, less than 3 seconds even between the two. And at the same time, 15 seconds up to Schosse. Still half a lap. Around half a lap of the Nordschleife, so he's not looking to be able to actually catch the German leader unless he really makes some kind of grave mistake out in front. Joe of the Fire now looks to be shark's food, however. So now less than a second between third and second, second and third. Joe of the Fire and Armored Core. Two drivers know each other very well from previous engagements in the NES series. Shasa, a newcomer to the NES, by the way, and would be lovely if he decides to take part in the series full time in Season 5. It would certainly add to the competitiveness of the pro field, even though the pro field is pretty competitive already, I must say. Look at Armored Core now getting within, well, that's literally touching distance of the car of Joe of the Fire. No way past yet, but he also needs just to be patient. He knows he has the grip advantage. He knows he can get the better exit onto the Flugplatz, if not before. Showing himself in the mirrors there, Joe of the Fire going deep. Armored Core forcing his way up in a very fair and gentlemanly fashion, just seeing that the space was there. And brilliantly taking advantage of that. And now taking second position. And Joe of the Fire, oh, as he goes wide once more, he gets the end loose on the exit of the carousel. And Joe of the Fire, I think he can wave goodbye to all hopes of second position now, because Armored Core is going to be sailing away. And now for Joe of the Fire, all that counts. Oh, a big drift there is getting the car to the line. Now Shasa has lost a heap of time, and the gap is down to 10.7 seconds. The question is, did Shasa have some kind of off? Is this going to be even more exciting than we predicted? Because 18 seconds is what the Armored Core was behind when they came onto this final lap. It's now down to 10.2 seconds. And, this might be getting close indeed. He certainly won't have the space to make many more mistakes, Shasa, even though I think he could just drive with some kind of margin. I mean, he must have made some kind of mistake on this lap in order to lose that much time. Or could it just be that much of a pace difference on having worn and fresh tires? It might just be. Now within the 10 seconds. But from judging from how quickly he's gaining now, it was a mistake before from Shasa. As Armored Core makes a little mistake here as well. And back with Shasa as he makes his way onto the Flugplatz. That means that he's more or less home safe. And it is just a suffering lap here from Shasa. 6.8 seconds down on his personal best. So Shasa only a couple of corners before claiming a beautiful win here. Look at him bleeding time in the braking zone. He's just about making sure that nothing goes wrong, and he does just that. And for the CRN team, he's gonna take the checkered flag in a brilliant fashion to win the NES 1 hour of the Nürburgring special. Armored Core comes home for second place, 7.4 seconds down. Brilliant run indeed. And it's gonna be third for the witty professor, really suffering here on his final lap. Congratulations to our podium finishers here. Brilliant job from all of you. Here is CJ. He's going to be coming home for fourth, despite of all his bad luck. So no doubt that the pace was there for the Mad Greek, but just the amount of bad luck was too much for him. Then Nilsemann is gonna claim 5th place, it seems. So a nice top 5 for Nilse, who improves upon his grid placing. Martin Fabersen is gonna be 6th, it seems, in front of Wake CU. And of course, all the rest of the drivers have finished already. They did a lap less. So they've been chilling for some time now. Well played, Joseph. Big congratulations from here. It was an exciting race to follow, going back and forth so much, and with a strategy that was hard to figure out indeed. Here's Martin finishing in the pits, and it's going to be in front of Wake. I don't think Wake is also going to be finishing, so we're going to be having all the cars crossing the line. Oh, Wake manages to pin it on the final lap. Oh, I think that sums up his day of racing. It hasn't been perfect for the Sugar Rush performance, boys. Good job, Nilse. Good job. And that concludes the 1 hour of the Nürburgring. Congratulations once more to Shakedown, our winner for today. For the CRN team, brilliant job. Joe of the Fire losing out in the end. Armored Core really showing that the pace was there. The strategy might have missed the last today, but certainly was a truly exciting race to watch. And with that, it's also going to be the conclusion of our Green Hell Sunday special here at Half the Race Gone. Of course, if you like our content here, smash that like button. And do also feel free to subscribe if you want to stay in touch and in tune with what we do here on the channel. We are going to be back on Tuesday with more GT Sport from the TSR GT 300 Championships, from the penultimate round of that series. It's going to be really interesting to see if ERT Stevie can continue his winning streak, or if anyone has had the plan to stop the fast Brit, the fast Eries driver. Then on Wednesday we're going to be back with our adventure into Project Cars 2 and the AOR GT3 League. And this week we're going to be doing that from the Red Bull Ring. So that's going to be an interesting race to follow as well. And of course, Thursday we'll be back in Durden Rally, or in Dirt Rally 2.0 for Durden Rally indeed. And then IGTL 3-hour stint race time. It's going to be brilliant. So with that little bit of advertising done, I think all that remains to say is for me that thank you so much for tuning in today. It has been a pleasure to have you all along. It has been a pleasure for me commentating these great races today. Great to be back and doing a little bit more GT Sport than just that weekly broadcast. And with that said, I think that's going to be all for me tonight. I'm hungry, I'm tired, so yeah. Take care. Until next time, take care, have fun, and bye-bye.